Good atmosphere in the chat. Great grid as well for 3 weeks in. We've still got a strong grid as they enter the Sir Lewis Hamilton start straight. It has gone green and Russell is not hanging around. But look at second place already having to cover off the second row. And that is Parks Miller trying to defend in towards Abbey for the first time. And the Mercedes-Benz of Dionorine round the outside through Abbey into farm now as they come up towards Village. It has been a good start from Dionorine to get into second place and just keep his championship points. I say that, he's gone around just as we said he got a good start. He's gone absolutely around. Dionorine moves up into fifth place now, looking up the inside of Saber in towards that club chicane. Inside's not always the best line because you've got to carry it around the double left here of the exit of club chicane. Dionorine, though, looks like he's going to be able to maybe slingshot out the final part of it. We saw Swope recovering from a spin. Who's that? That is Harrison looking up the inside. Moving. Did he just get 2 places there? A few more gaps than what we've been used to seeing over the races. In the previous weeks, that looked like that Mercedes was a little sideways there as Parks Miller and Hong going at it. Hong's back up the inside, up and under for Parks Miller. Lovely little move through Luffield. Bit of contact on the exit as they come over the curbs on the Stowe exit, down the Vale straight in towards the club chicane. Young having a look, looking okay actually in that Porsche with the front end damage, and Anderson deep at club and straight off.
By Storm, and that is indeed what happened to the Velocity Server Racing Team driver of Troy Anderson. But here we have Jimmy Carroll is officially under pressure, and he's no longer under pressure. That is a massive spin from Davis, and just taking too much of a turn there in the Mustang.
Russell's won the race, so the commentator's curse didn't happen for Russell. He's finished in P1. What a drive from Alex Russell. He'll be starting P8 in race number 2.
Night Crew in 48th, and the gantries are already going for the second race.
Yeah, we're about to go green here, and what can Saber do from the pole position as they come down the Sir Lewis Hamilton start straight to start? Looks good for everybody as they come in towards Abbey for the first time. A little wide there for Saber, but it can cover him off in the farm curve. And the Corvette of Troy Anderson looking side by side as they headed towards Village. Little later on the brakes, and the Ford Mustang. Has the Corvette got it slowed down in time? Yes, he has, and takes the lead of this race.
Battaglia is losing out. Battaglia has lost it down in 9th position. Hong has lost it. Burnett has lost it. And a couple of other drivers. There's Sunday now with the black flag penalty. There's Dilworth. He's lost the car.
It's for a possible few off tracks already in that opening lap. We saw the yellow flag next to his name as Troy Anderson has gone deep in towards Village. A few of them are going deep. You might be right. It may be more slippy out there. Anderson nearly into the back of Young. Young's gone off, and Dionorine will get a 2-for-1 special.
So you'll see on the slightly wider shots, the raindrops are falling hard. But for example, in this camera shot, as someone's off in the back, that's Caden Parks Miller, who's lost his Mercedes. But this is very difficult racing and a good test of skill for our AM drivers.
Troy Anderson's had a mistake as well. He's just rejoined at the exit of midway through club. That's dropped Anderson all the way down to 6th place. Just noticed a spinner out the corner of the screen. There is the Ford Mustang. Must be one of the drivers in the bottom off the field, and Keaton Young is sideways across Maggots, and back he goes, rolls it backwards to get out of the way, just about. And hopefully, as we see him appear, he's off the circuit. So thankfully, there's
another spin.
The 2 Porsches struggling.
Yeah, I mean, as we know, it could come down to the last lap and something. Well, there you go.
Young has lost it again. And the likes of Valencia.
Yeah. Conditions of Silverstone, and he's going to try and head down after Parks Miller, who will see what he can do. And Jeffrey Hong there has a bit of a moment. What has happened to Russell, though, because he's tumbling down the order for race 2, so that's his own mistake. Let's see what happened. This is coming into Cop's corner. Alex Russell going to be too greedy on the inside curb. No, doesn't touch it. Outside curb, and there you go. It just sucked him in, and it just pulled that rear around. Saber with Battigal.
Davis.
He's on the back of him. Davis is now at a spin, so that might be why Russell got past him.
Yeah, and here's Evan Davis. It looks like he's just coming onto the Kensington straight. There's the left-hander, and just a little bit too much outside line on the wet. And what a second race this has been for the driver. He managed to get up into first, and he's held it the entire time. The final right-hander coming into it. It's a first-place finish for Dionorine as he crosses the line. Carroll takes second, with Russell finishing third at least still.
Just in the background, but Pala's already decided to put the throttle down, it looks like, through the first part of club and getting to the lead of this race, and that is then the Aston Martin of Nesov getting into second place. And Rolder's just been absolutely swamped at the start of this race.
And my goodness, look at the swarming coming up into Stowe. There is so much going on. Peterson gets a bit of a twitch, and Grabowski moves up into third now. 5 battling where he normally is with Ballast Palace.
Whoa, that's Rold who's had a moment. The gold pigeon there is around on the Wellington Straight, coming into Brooklands, and there's more contact. Who is that? That is Hooverson and Zurich, who have had a moment coming together. No, yeah, it looks like he's about to have... No, he's tapped Joff. It's just a tap from Joff that spins him round, and the Mustang nowhere to go, and bang. Yeah, great start for Zohar Ahmed. Dunnett has just got himself a slow-down penalty, and there was a bit of contact between 2 of the Mercedes behind. I believe that was Dunnett and possibly Singh, and now there's a few spinners through Kopp's corner. It is all going off. Another spinner. Shay, Pallet, once again up to a straight.
I've been saying this all night. Since the Prime, I've been saying these guys need to balance their aggression with their adaptability to the weather. Everyone is being so aggressive. Look at this.
Yep, there's your aggression as you talk about it. A little bit of a push coming over there from Nesov.
Grabowski's capitalized on that.
Yeah, Grabowski's just claimed it again. So double overtaking 2 corners down in 40th. He has not come out of the pit lane. So here's the replay. There you can see Nesov goes completely wide through Kops.
Before race 2, where the top 8 will be inverted. Here comes Nesov. Is he going to pull out to have a look up the inside in towards Brook? He will indeed. Goes right up the inside at Brooklands. Contact made between Nesov and Grabowski.
And what a great move up on the inside. Pala's lost out.
There are a lot of people that are really, really not happy with Pallet tonight.
Yeah, I'm kind of staying away from the YouTube comments as he got on the brakes through Abbey and lost the rear.
If you spotted something there, I haven't seen it.
It was Grabowski. Massively out of shape on the exit of Stowe corner, was really having a twitch.
Yeah, you can see it. You can see it. He's absolutely losing. Oh, Peterson loses the front bumper, and he is flashing Grabowski. It's always a nice thing to see how they're doing, and Murasan is doing a great job in 22nd. But there's the checkered flag. Nesov comes across in first. Grabowski second. Peterson holds it off against Dragade.
Indeed he does. Joff hasn't gone as early as Ballast Pala. I think he decides to go now mid-club chicane there then, and he drops the hammer on the exit of club. Ballast Pala gets a great launch as well, already going from third up second place.
Here's Pala now alongside Joff coming into the next corner. He's got the better straight line speed with the Mustang V8 compared to that Corvette mid-engine, but coming through out of the hangar straight through Stowe, down the Vale and into the club chicane. It is actually going to be the inside line now for Ballast Pala. Is he going to be able to hold it though? And it looks like indeed he is. And Presley off the track he goes. There he's rejoining at Kops. A little bit of an unsafe rejoin there. And Fernandez definitely a bit worried. And all 4 wide now coming into Maggots and Beckett. It's going to get a little bit hectic here as the drivers try and make their way around it. Fortunately for them, they all managed to get through. And there's the likes of Nesov. All you can see is that rear brake light that is pretty distinguishable for the Aston Martin. And Grabowski pulls to the inside. Nesov makes a slight error, but on the outside line now, is he going to be able to hold it in the number 69 as he holds it in the blue Aston Martin and into the next couple of corners through the Kensington Straight? He's actually been able to correct it, and up into second he will go.
Conright has had a moment. Him and Green have lost out to Kurashavan and Peterson here. Here we go, club chicane. Conright on the... Oh, it was actually the 2 Aston Martins that touched. Did they come together again? Yes, they did. That Aston Martin's going to lose it right into the path of the Mercedes-Benz.
Conright and Hooverson are now right on the backside of the orange Ford Mustang. Oh, and he's lost it from the pressure. Oh, goes through Stowe. Can he keep it out of the wall, though? And oh, he just smacks the wall on the left-hand side.
And make that mistake. Here comes Jaden Conright trying to defend from Hooverson. And from that, an attack Kurashavan, a little bit of a hip and shoulder. The rear bumper comes off of Kurashavan's car there.
And so he might even be able to gain it on Conrad if he does have enough. Oh, he goes up on the
contact!
Inside. And oh, they've both actually lost it. A little bit of an aggressive take there from Gregory Hooverson.
But Ballast Pala will be back on top here at Silverstone. He dominated in the wet in race 2. He got in the lead early. He wins the pro race 2 here at Silverstone. Alexei Nesov second. Grabowski will take third. Can't do so. Joff P4, Pedersen P5, Conright 6th, King 7th. From then Ray Khan. And that is Khan who's had a spin. But what a night of racing it has been. Once again, 3 weeks in the bag. we head to Japan, the land of the rising sun, for week number 4. We'll see you there. Good evening and welcome to the League by Foxxtecca as we are getting ready for our fantastic race at Suzuka International Racing Course. I'm Matthew Duffin, joined in the box once again by Tristan Herbst and our eyes in the sky, Tristan Shea, who is he brings the inside knowledge to the League by Foxxtecca. Guys, welcome back to the box. We're here for week number 4, halfway through the season tonight in what has been already an iconic and unforgettable championship.
Yeah, and we're back to Format A for tonight's racing. If you were here last week at Silverstone, we headed into a very wet Format B with the two double-header 25 and 30-minute races. But here we go today for the legendary Suzuka race circuit here located in Japan. 3.5 miles in total track length. Jim will be bringing you all the camera angles from the back scene. And boy, oh boy, I got to say to you guys, Shay and Matthew, this might be one of my favorite races of the calendar just due to the fact that it's completely different to what we've had in the past couple of rounds. This is a very technical circuit, and we might see some of our mid-engines and rear-engine cars like the Porsche and the Corvette thrive here today.
I actually think the same. This is one of my all-time favorite tracks of all the circuits in racing. I love how iconic it is. The S-turns, that back straight, it's all great to see. I believe that there's going to be a couple races where the corners particularly will be deciding who gets what position and who can hold it. And then I'm also very interested in seeing how drivers handle that back corner right before the chicane leading back onto the front straight.
Yeah, that final, the Casio triangle just coming down into that final downhill into the straight. If you do take that wrong, you can lose the rears, and you do have to be careful about that. But we've got to get going slightly as our qualifying session is already live. We're already 7 minutes into this, and Alex Russell currently sits on pole with a 157.9. Mayo Dianorine sits in second, and Jimmy Carroll currently sits in third. There's a Mustang sideways on track through the entrance of the S's there. Thankfully, nobody smacks into the side of him, and through the Casio triangle goes one of the Clutches Night Crew drivers. But here he is himself, Mr. Alex Russell, currently sitting in pole. Let's see if he can work his magic here again tonight at Suzuka.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see what Alex Russell can do. He had a great performance last time out at Silverstone. Can he carry that momentum now into week number 4 here at a very dry and clear Suzuka? What a set of conditions it is out here. The points champ total so far in the AM Championship look as follows. We'll get them on the screen in just a few moments. It is Mayor Dianorine who leads the way. 12 points clear of Caden Parks-Miller, who's had a great season. Not the Silverstone he'd have been hoping for, but nonetheless, points he's picked up throughout the rest of these races. Jimmy Carroll is P3. Alex Russell still got points to pull back on Mayor Dianorine. Then it's Troy Anderson, Pio Valencia, Evan Davis, Jesse Laverin, Saul Causa, and Young Dilworth round out the top 10. There you can see the other 8 at the bottom of your screen, where points all the way down to last place in this championship. So everybody has something to play for in this title fight, and even if they're already just starting to drop off the back, there's lots of battles and lots of places in this championship, Tristan, where drivers could finish anywhere come week number 8.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what makes it so interesting, and why I love seeing the different track layouts and the different track styles as well. Is it gives everybody the chance to spread their wings. And like we mentioned, the Mustangs and the Fords, they've been pretty dominant over the course of the season through the starting tracks, the openers of the League by Foxxtecca season number 2. But today we obviously head into Suzuka. Next week we head into Barcelona. So 2 tracks that are well suited to the mid-engines and the rear-engine vehicles that have the better rotation. And so that's why I'm so excited to see what they can do here for today's racing. But we do officially have about 40 or so seconds left of qualifying, and our top 3 still remaining pretty much fixated as in terms of what it is currently. And yeah, like I mentioned it before, I'm just excited to see what the drivers are going to do here. Shay, obviously, we saw quite an eventful Silverstone, and one thing to note is I think we have our highest number of AM drivers in a race here today. 48 cars are out on today's track.
48 cars is a ton of people to have on a track, especially like this, where it's kind of tight and kind of narrow in certain sections, and there isn't exactly a ton of space to make passes. I like this track because we're really going to see the brains of these drivers today. where they think that they can push a little bit more, and maybe if they're thinking of just stepping back the aggression some.
As qualifying comes to an end, then it is Alexa Russell who will take that pole position by only 0.03 of a second. Not a lot in it between them front three at all. So Russell takes that pole position. We'll get the full grid classification for you in just a moment's time as it pops up now. Alex Russell pole position from Maya Dianarine. Caden Parks-Miller P3. Clayton Sanchez alongside him. Jimmy Carroll is P5 with Evan Davis in 6th. Kingston Mullins, great qualifying from him up in P7. Paul Collishaw is P8. Benjamin Betchel, P9 from Andre Saba. Zachary Batagalia is P11. And Dayton Harrison, name I don't think we've mentioned this season, in P12.
Yeah, from P13 onwards, we've got Kenton Young from the RS Designs team. Samuel Burnett will take 14th. And Vegard Hendrickson down in 15th. Saul Gaza will take 16th. Richard Swiderski, followed by Rain Woodside. And then Julian Race and Lazan Young-Dilworth in 20th position. Troy Anderson and Aaron Sande down in 22nd. Ethan Halfhigh down in 23rd. And Pio Alejandro Valencia rounds off 24th.
Jacob Swoop for 25th with Sandy Regama in 26th place. Shelton Lewis is 27th. Joe Coleman from Ciagarassi in 29th. Justin Klubine is P30 from Alex Kalvach. Thomas Natali P32. Kevin Majuri 33rd with Zachary Wood. Jesse Laverin and John Smallwood rounding out the top 36.
And then just a couple more to go. Louis Martinez takes 37th. Alex Barrington, followed by Jacob Perry. Alexis Barrington also, I believe, might be... No, that's not a new name. Apologies. Then Jeffrey Hong, 40th. Timothy Jadubal, that might be a new name. I haven't seen that just as of yet. Kamari Odom takes 42nd. And Eduardo Martinez Tostado will take 43rd. So Darius Days down in 44th. And Edward Ramirez down in 45th. Kristen Montgomery, 46th, followed by Lewis Holloway in 47. And the final driver to round off is our youngest driver on grid, Landon Batson, the number 210, will be sitting in 48th. He's also on our interview podcast in between our two race sessions yet today, so stay tuned for that. But the pace car is officially pulling away. Apologies to those watching. We were going to have a track map up, but we did think that there was a bit of a gap between qualifying and the race. But as you can see, we're already pulling down towards the top side of 130R, and then we're going racing already.
Yep, so the cars exit through Spoon and come down towards 130R for the formation lap. A pretty long formation lap here at Suzuka because it's a pretty long old straight, this one, before you hit 130R. And then you'll have the Casio Triangle chicane before coming around that final curve onto that start-finish line. The drivers getting all their tyres up to temperature and in the right window. Like Tristan said a little earlier, we're back into Format A, so a 1-hour race for these drivers to get everything right with fuel capacity limited. You'll roughly see pit stops happen between that 30 to 35 minute mark just for drivers to fill up their cars. Their tanks are limited to a certain percentage, and that means that they will have to stop to fill up the cars for fuel for that second stint of this race. So we're coming into that Casio Triangle now for the end of the formation lap. The safety car will pull off into the pit lane momentarily on its right-hand side. There it goes. And this leaves Russell to take us away in the lead of this race. And he's now dropped the hammer, and goes he does. And Dianarine did not go with him at the start of this one. And this has put Parks-Miller on that inside line of Dianarine as we go green now. Dianarine just squeezing Parks-Miller. Grass is imminent, and Dianarine nearly putting Parks-Miller with two wheels onto the grass. Parks-Miller gets out of that one, and they get through turn one nice and safely as 48 GT3 cars thunder their way in towards the first and second corners on this circuit, in towards the S's now as they come uphill, climbing forever left and right, easy on the throttle. It's very easy to put too much throttle down and lose the rear. Patience is the name of the game through this first sector. You come up now into Dunlop, and it's a pretty good start from everybody as we get away for the first time.
Yeah, a massive 48-car grid. It's going to take some time to see if everybody's made it well and through into that first sector up Snake through Dunlop. I'm seeing most of our cars have successfully made it through. There's one of the orange Porsches busy fighting already as it goes. But what a hammer drop there from Russell. Completely blindsided Dianarine and Parks-Miller. And I think Dianarine also just had to realize he cannot force a driver completely off. But he's actually lost it. Parks-Miller moves up into first, and Russell's even lost out from that one. That was a great embankment there from Parks-Miller through the hairpin, and he's just managed to keep it now. Through Spoon he will go. He's got the inside line as well. And so he just needs to hold his current position and allow the drivers behind to fight it out. So Parks Miller 2 positions up, coming out of Spoon down towards 130R. What can he do to maintain this? You can see the 3 Mercedes at the back, all fighting with each other, trying to find a way around. It is Electrosal around the backside of Dion Areen, and Jimmy Carroll's in there as well. We all know these 4 Mercedes-Benz are very competitive and highly wanting to take the lead of this race. But it's all going to come down to who can stick it out. Russell's gone down to 4th. And Mayo Dianareen's actually moved up to 1st. Mark Parks Miller's moved back down to 2nd. But now Carroll squeezed his nose in through the Casio triangle. And coming through that final corner, it's changed yet again. But Dianareen 7/10 up. He's managed to pull away now from the rest of that pack.
Indeed he has, and it looked like Parks Miller made a mistake through 130R, was so far off the track that he possibly had to slow down as Russell pulls in front and chops the nose off of Parks Miller there. But it was all happening between the 4 Mercedes out front. Davis has now got ahead of Sanchez. So Evan Davis putting that Corvette down 1 extra position. Landon Batson did not take to the start of this race, so we've not got Landon Batson out there, unfortunately, for this one. But Diana Reen putting that pressure onto Russell at the hairpin corner for the first time around, and now he's got a car between himself and Russell, and he's got 2 cars between himself and his closest championship rival of Parks Miller at the moment. But for Dianareen, it's now about getting that consistency and pulling away at the start of this race. A great clean start to Shea to this one. What do you make of that?
This was a pretty good clean start. I sometimes worry about drivers when they come into the S's for the first time when the race begins, because, you know, they do have a formation lap, sure, or rather when the pace car comes out, but you don't know for sure if everyone's tires are up to temperature, or if they'll be calibrated in their minds enough to get on the throttle when they need to without spinning it.
Yeah, completely. No, that's absolutely. Yeah, and it all comes down to how the drivers manage that formation lap, and some don't follow the ultimately the best solutions to getting that car warmed up. Oh, a little bit of a squabble there with Benjamin Betchel. He's just making contact with Saab up in front. And we have gotten a bit of word from our virtual grandstand that Landon Batson had technical issues before the start of the race, and that's why he did not take to the grid. It is unfortunate to see a driver being taken out, and also just great upstall the rest of the virtual grandstand, just cheering on all their drivers. It's great to see all the support for these drivers out here on track as they make their way around. Vegard Hendrickson, he's trying to hold up, but Young comes a little bit aggressive in and almost touches the backside there of Hendrickson. Young was a little bit late on the brakes there. He did go wide out of 130R, and now he's got pressure from Anderson. He had to overslow that Porsche to not land up in the rear of Hendrickson, and here comes Anderson alongside now, down the back straight for the Velocity Server Racing team. What is it going to be, though? The Corvette's coming through first corner and up into Snake. He has got that inside line, but what can the Porsche do on the outside? Unfortunately, not much from that venomous Corvette, and moves up into 14th position. That's 7 places up there for Anderson.
It is indeed, and the venomous Corvette goes into Snake now, and will look to try and get onto the back of the next Porsche of Henriksen, the Norwegian driver, who is on the back of Burnett at the moment. A battle further down the field with Jesse Laverin, who's up 8 places in this one. He's trying to overtake Majuri in that McLaren just in front of him, and Jesse Laverin. Oh, great little fight here. Here's a good gaggle of cars. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars squabbling it out through the Snake in towards Dunlop now. And here comes the Ford Mustang up the inside of Garassi's Porsche. He'll be outside though for Degner 1 and Degner 2. I'll tell you what, the Mustang's got the move done. That's a lovely move. And now Natali, who is down into 31st. He's having a squabble with the McLaren just behind him. But what a move on the outside, breaking into the Degners a little later than the Porsche. And the Mustang moves up another place. Side-by-side action through 200R in towards Spoon Corner. Betchel on the outside, Battaglia on the inside, and Betchel losing out through Spoon Corner. The double left-hander, bit of a hurry up and wait as you exit down onto the back straight, and that's Henriksen, who's had a massive slide. And I think the Corvette was slow as well, coming through the exit of Spoon, but Henriksen has gone right around. I think he's managed to keep it out the wall, and our first victim of the day.
Yeah, looks like he was able to keep it out of the wall there, just on the exit of Spoon Curve, and we do know that curb is notorious for claiming names in GT3, especially when it's nice and wet. Thankfully here today we've got full dry weather racing, but very unfortunate there for Hendrickson. If he was able to keep it out of the wall, that's great props to him. It means he can continue without any form of consequence, but if he does have damage on the front, well, it's going to be a bit of a tough one to nurse that Porsche to the checkered flag line. But here's your fighting order for the start of this race yet again. Up into P1 we go, and Dion Noreen is holding this off like an absolute champion. Not to mention he's completely changed the livery and gone with an opposite contrast there. It's the pink Asus Mercedes now instead of a blue one, and he currently leads to Russell and Carroll just a little bit further behind him. And I feel like this is going to be the fighting train for the next couple of laps. These three, we know how they can beckon with each other from what we've seen in Silverstone in previous rounds. And here they come into Suzuka yet again on each other's bumpers. And so it's all going to come down to last of the late breakers, who can keep that first position coming into the corner where they sit on the inside line, where they can hold it and hold the defense against the drivers behind. For the time being, it is Dion Noreen with that upper hand.
They've dropped, they've pulled away from Parks Miller. He's not been able to stick with the front three. There's me and Tristan in our commentary position on screen right now. It's not actually. But yeah, they've got ahead of Parks Miller by some margin at the moment. He could be coming under pressure from Davis a little later on. This is on board with Reese a little further down the field in his BMW M4, trying to chase Anderson in the Corvette. Bit of a battle with Valencia, who's had a great start to the season. Not a great Silverstone, and so far not the best of qualifying. Here today is his all Tokyo drift sideways here in Japan and loses out one, maybe two places as Coleman will go through. And can Lewis follow him? No, he can't. Valencia just struggling today on a track where the Porsche should be in its element.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking, is that the mid and rear engine car should be in the element, but unfortunately we've still got the same domination of the front engines all the way up in that top 5. Clayton Sanchez, a name we haven't seen, is up in that top 6 position right now, and he's sitting to try and fight with the top runners. He's possibly got that slight advantage with the rotation. Yes, Burnett, he's also in the 296, and with that mid-engine rotation, hopefully he's got some form of advantage. It's what we do want to see here at Suzuka, to break that front engine domination a little bit. We've gotten I think Jim might have picked one of his livery choices. That Sanchez up in 6. He definitely does like it. I've got to agree. It's a nice. It's almost like the UV ultraviolet purple on black. It's a very nice contrast over there. And Sanchez still sits in 6th position. He's got Davis up in front, and the rest are all front engine cars. And we'll have to see what they can do. Here's Reese though. He's on the backside of Garza. And looks like we've had a bit of an incident with Troy Anderson. That's the venomous Corvette we were talking about fighting a bit earlier. Was it a bit of a late lunge into turn number 1? He looks up on the inside of Garza and just loses the back end, unfortunately.
Yeah, strange one. The gap was there. He fully went for the gap, and just around come the rear end. Did not like that one. And we're seeing in the chat that it's a livery dedicated. That Dion Noreen's livery is dedicated to the Japanese cherry blossom. That's why it's running in pink tonight. So a great little nod there to the cherry blossom of Japan. And Jim might now have to change his livery mind at the moment. Oh, that's a beaut. It's an absolute beaut.
Oh, that is a beauty.
Fantastic.
That is beautiful. This kind of gives me some Fast and Furious vibes. If you guys ever see have you guys ever seen Too Fast, Too Furious with Suki's pink S2000?
I don't think we're allowed to be commentators if we hadn't watched that movie.
I've seen the first 3. I gave up after Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where the cutoff line was before they started introducing magnets that could carry cars across a country. Back when we had some good old street racing, that was the good stuff of the entry level of racing. But I've got to say, I didn't even see all the cherry blossoms on that Mercedes. That's what a great addition to livery. And I've got to say, I do love the specialized track liveries. Here comes a dive on the inside, though. It's between the likes of Burnett and Lewis, as Burnett is trying to make his way around in the 296. It's versus the McLaren 720S. So they've got two very similar engine architectures. What's it going to be coming into this next couple of corners? There's no advantage yet to either car. There's Anderson in the background currently. He's 21st, and obviously after that spin, he's moved quite down. But now Burnett has moved down to the backside. He's on the outside trying to hold off from Lewis. I believe Lewis is the number 20 car. Let's just double confirm who we're chasing. So I believe Samuel Burnett is your number 290. He goes off, so he's in the Ferrari 296. And Lewis will move up ahead, and Anderson gets up as well. Now he's got pressure from Klubine behind.
Yeah, looked like a little bit of contact there between Lewis and Anderson, just coming through the snake and just put the Ferrari into a little bit of a wiggle. Managed to just catch it before having a spin. But this now puts Lewis under pressure from the Corvette of Anderson, who's trying to recover in this race and trying to make something of this one. This is moving a bit further down the grid with someone else who's had a moment. This is Henriksen on the back of Natalia. Trio of Porsches here at the moment coming in towards the Dakins. Really attacking the first curb hard there. Going up onto two wheels momentarily was Henriksen. So he's the man on a mission at the moment. How good will this be? Pulls out to the inside line of the hairpin corner. That's a late move, but it's a great move from the Norwegian Henriksen, who doesn't just get one, he gets both of them. A 2-for-1 special. And what a job from Henriksen there. It was a great late dive into the hairpin, and that must have distracted Wood, who thought, is he going to miss his brakes? Because he went deep, and Henriksen gets through underneath the pair of them through there. This is back to Lewis and Anderson. Lewis in that McLaren against Anderson in the Corvette, coming down to 130R. You've got to be brave to go through here side by side. Flick it to the left. Keep it pinned if you possibly can. Into the Casio triangle. Anderson looking for a way, but brilliant defending from Lewis there. In the middle of the road. Hold that inside line into the first part of the chicane. And they come out as they entered. Lewis still in front for P19. Anderson, though, has a great run in that slipstream now. Going to pull to the outside line of the first corner. Is he going to try and outbrake Lewis and go right around the outside? Here at turn 1, round the outside, he looks to go nearly a little bit of door-to-door contact. Runs out onto the outside curb. Holds it strong around the outside. If he gets a good exit, he'll have the inside for the first part of the snake. And no can do for Anderson there. He's tried underneath. He's tried over the top. He may have to get rid of overtaking that first corner.
Yeah, that was some great attack and defense there from these two drivers, and just again representing the sportsmanship level we've got here at the league by Foxxtecca. Lewis and Anderson going at it continuously over here as they try and fight for that 20th position. And just to remember that tag in the top left, which doesn't define these drivers, but this is the amateur race. We've still got the pro race, which tends to actually be a bit more eventful with the aggression levels. It's actually a lot more calm in the AM racing. We see a lot more clean style racing in the AM, as they just tend to try and keep themselves controlled instead of trying to continuously manipulate the others in front or behind. But for the time being, it is going to be that same standing order. Mullings is still in 7th. He's trying to fight around, and there's Collishaw with that Prince Stream Porsche livery. I shouldn't have mentioned it. There he loses the outside onto the track as he now tries to keep up with the big Mustang in 7th. Collishaw has got Battaglia and Saba behind as they head down towards 130R. He's trying to keep in the train of big Mustangs. He doesn't have the top speed that they've got, but thankfully the straight is officially over, and the main straight by the start-finish line, not long enough for him to lose that much of an advantage. Let's hope the Porsche driver can stick within the big 3 Mustangs here, as he currently fights for 7th position overall, with Mullings holding that 7th position. But back up to our leaders fighting it out. Dianorine is ever so closer, seeing that front bumper of Carroll behind, and Russell has also obviously lost out to Carroll. He was in 2nd, but Carroll's sitting in 2nd right now as he tries to chase around Dianorine. It is the 2 green Mercedes versus the 1 pink. What's it going to be? We've still got 45 minutes left of racing, but as Matthew mentioned, a big moment will come at the halfway mark. Those drivers will need to jump in only at a 65% max capacity tank. They will need to get a fill up and continue racing.
You have to feel sorry for Collishaw there. He was being hunted like a pack of wolves by all them Mustangs around him. As here we go back to Burnett, who gets around the outside of Klubine. Klubine still got a nose just in there at the moment. Looks up the inside for the next part of the S's. Can't do so there. And Battaglia has moved ahead of Collishaw. Oh, there, Burnett. That is Klubine just looking on the rear of the Ferrari, nearly making contact. This has brought Laverin into play in the Mercedes-Benz just behind them as well. So a great bit of racing here at Suzuka. Old school circuit, very tight and twisty, difficult to overtake. Only a handful of places. If you're brave enough and you trust the guy you're racing or girl you're racing with, you can make things happen. And there's got to be a lot of respect shown as they break in towards the hairpin now. The Ferrari doing a great job of holding off that Mustang just behind him. And then you've got Laverin, and Sandy Gamara is not a million miles away in his Mercedes-Benz. And then a big 6 seconds gap back to Henriksen in the rear. Back to the front, though. There's a change for the lead. Jimmy Carroll side by side with Dianorine. Bit of contact made at the Casio triangle. Now Dianorine shoves him onto the grass. This will give Russell a great run down towards turn 1. And Alexi Russell moves into 2nd place and could fight for the lead, with Dianorine not getting the best of exits. Pulls to that outside line here at turn 1. What's going to happen between our 2 championship protagonists? Russell very wide. Looked a little squirrely under braking on the rear for Dianarine. And Russell hangs on for P2.
Yeah, I mean, this is some great action. Yeah, go for it, Jay.
I think as this race goes on, I believe these three are going to just get more and more aggressive. I must admit, I didn't expect to see the pushing as they were coming through that last chicane back onto the front of the track, but that was really, really nice to see. And these guys also exhibit a lot more control and discipline in their own moves around corners and things, so I like to see how they balance that along with the aggression of fighting off the others that are behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like it's going to be, like we mentioned, that these three are going to be fighting pretty much the entire race. If obviously nothing bad happens, we're not putting that into the universe here of Suzuka Racing. And then obviously just to remember as well, that pit stop strategy might change it up between these top three, as we've already seen it change. As Russell has moved on to third, Carroll's moved on to third, Russell's up into second, and Dianarine is yet again back up into first position. We'll try and go back and have a bit of a replay to see what happened between these two, as it obviously was Dianarine versus Carroll coming out of that Casio triangle. So was it a bit of a better lunge? As you can see earlier on the brakes there from Dianarine, and the Carroll just forced out into the inside line. Little bit of a tap there against the side of the door of Dianarine, and just forced out onto the grass on the inside line, and that just gives Russell all the lineup he needs to get ahead of Carroll coming down into turn number 1, and now he chases on the backside of Dianarine, and obviously the rest is history. All three cars are still intact out on track, which is what matters most. But the question is it going to be a repeat of them trying to get ahead of Dianarine and not being successful, or are we eventually going to see a change for the lead of this race?
And the best thing is they're still pulling away from Parks Miller while they're fighting, as Russell moves to that outside line, coming into the first corner once again, looking a long, long way around the outside. Is this now where Carroll has to work overtime to try and keep up with these two, who have been the quickest two, you have to say, this entire season? Bar their own mistakes or being hit by other drivers, they have been the dominant two, you'd have to say, in these 4 weeks so far. Kingston Mullins has had a moment because he's dropped out 2 places to Batigala and to Collishaw. So Kingston Mullins is down into 9th, but Russell just showing how difficult it is to overtake on board him there. You can see that how close he is to the Mercedes-Benz of Dianarine. Look how incredibly tight that is. It's nearly not even 2 cars wide here through the Degners, and Russell is just trying to get that better exit, better line out the corner. Will he flick to the outside like we saw somebody do a little earlier on? No, he doesn't. He's going to wait for Russell, but he's got to try and get the run nearly in the boot lid of Dianarine there. And Russell doesn't get that momentum that he needed, but has that put Carroll on the back of the Spaniard?
Yeah, this is going to all be to play for between these two Mercedes, and I've got to say this battle is going to go on basically for this entire race. I know we spoke about it earlier, but I feel like even after the pit stop strategy, these three are going to be out on top. They are practically replicating each other out on track, as we see a change for 18th position. That's Anderson, and he's got all the cheers currently from the virtual grandstand. Every single person in there is pushing for Anderson to get back up to where he was, and he's gone ahead of Pierre Alejandro Valencia now as he makes his way around circuit. So great stuff there from Anderson. Valencia, we did see him struggle a little bit earlier as he went off there through the spoon curve, and this is a chance now for Anderson, especially with the fighting up front, to possibly make up even more positions. He's got Coleman, Woodside, and Reese, and I believe Gaza is a little bit further up ahead, and so he's got a lot to work with here in terms of what kind of positions he can make. Coming into 130R though, he has back up to 9th position. This is still Collishaw, and like Matthew mentioned, he's stuck in a bit of a bully train over here. He's got the big Ford Mustangs surrounding the very tiny Porsche. Anderson gets ahead of Swiderski though, so he's already made up on yet another position. He's fighting like an absolute champion over here.
He's absolutely flying out there, Tristan. He is a man on a mission. Lewis picks up a slowdown over the chicane. Anderson is on an absolute charge at the moment. Like Tristan said, fighting like a man on a mission, absolutely flying through this Suzuka circuit at the moment. And I was just looking at the lap times while you were saying that, Tristan. His best lap is quicker than everybody in front until you get up to that of P7 of Zachary Battaglia, as that is Lewis getting ahead. No, sorry, losing out to Jesse Laverin in this fight then at turn number 1. But yeah, Anderson's lap time's quickest. It puts him up in that sort of top 7 contention. So it shows the pace he's got at Suzuka. his current lap times won't reflect that because he's in this train of cars. The 3 leaders, though, Deanarine just has a bit of daylight between himself and Russell. Russell now under a lot of pressure from Jimmy Carroll. Can Jimmy Carroll, just looked at inside line into Spoon, he's going to wait, he's going to think about it. Gains under braking. Now you get back on, you leave off the throttle, you just wait, power out of the Spoon corner. A little wiggle there from Russell, just cost him a bit of exit speed, and you can see that because Jimmy Carroll pulls to the inside line now as we head down to the most famous corner in all of World Motorsport. Side by side, 130R. Russell backs out of it before we even get a chance to see them flick it left through the corner. And now he's going to try and come back underneath on Carroll. No can do. Jimmy Carroll back into second place. If you're Caden Parks-Miller at this moment, you haven't got the pace of the front 3. I say that, he's just done the fastest lap a moment ago. But he hasn't got the outright pace consistently of the front 3. You could still be in with a shout of winning this race because anything can happen between these 3 as we get later into this.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the main differentiator, especially when you want to try and isolate Am and Pro, is, for example, that corner. I mean, 2 drivers coming into 130R. He has a great dive, though, from Anderson yet again. My goodness, this guy is working his way up track. A massive dive up on the inside of Coleman there. The BMW wasn't even expecting it from that venomous Corvette as he moves up into 15. But like I was mentioning, those 2 Mercedes, if that was the Pro class, they would have held each other through 130R, trying to prove who can step in front. But that was a great relief of position there, I've got to say, from the likes of Carroll and Russell, just respecting the boundaries of the track and not trying to take each other out so early on in the race. We've got more people in the virtual grandstand. We are wanting to see some drivers. We've got Aaron Sunday, who needs to be highlighted. He's down currently in 35th position. Unfortunately, 13 positions down in today's racing. He hasn't had the best starts of today's racing, but he is being cheered on in that virtual grandstand. Down at 35th, you can see him there. He's chasing on the backside of Ramirez, and still, again, one of those great liveries from OHND Racing. I've got to say that Merc is looking quite vibrant out on track.
It is indeed. The audience in the virtual grandstand asked for Sunday. The audience are going to get to see him make a move as they come down towards turn number 1. He's on the inside line. And is it job done? It is job done. Aaron Sunday moves up to P34. So they ask and he delivers out there on the broadcast. Now Parks-Miller, look at that, within 6/10 of the leaders. Bit of side-by-side action though through the Degners. Natali and Calvach having a lovely little scrap with that of Rain Woodside in the mix, and Harrison's not too far off the back there as well. So a great little scrap here for 24th, 5th, 6th and 7th as they all come in towards the hairpin. Parks-Miller now within 3/10 of Russell. And what has happened out front? Deanarine has dropped to 4th place. Russell leads from Carroll, and now Parks-Miller's up into 3rd. We said it would all kick off. It's kicked off earlier than we expected.
Yeah, something's definitely happened through the Casio triangle or out of 130R. He's riding that curb on the outside and coming into Casio triangle. Was there possibly contact, or did he lose it himself? Oh, there was contact actually from Carroll, and he just gets pushed off on the right-hand side of that Casio triangle corner and coming down into into that final corner onto the main straight. Look at how much time he's lost out now to this, the starting pack here. And that's now actually composed of Russell, Parks-Miller, and Carroll. He's now completely lost out on it, although he is yet again on the backside of Carroll. He's not going to be happy with that drive after that incident. I think Carroll knows that he's actually giving the inside line there, I believe, to Mayo Deanarine. He's completely letting him go, and he knows what he's done. Not satisfied with his actions, and he's let the driver go. And what great sportsmanship yet being shown. But we've got another member who's joined that top 5, and Evan Davis is here with the Mustang. My goodness, this battle is just escalating, Matthew.
And we said it wasn't going to be a front-engine circuit this week. How wrong was we? But that's brilliant sportsmanship, first of all. Let's not get me wrong. Jimmy Carroll caused the incident. Realised he had great sportsmanship. He didn't have to let Deanarine go. It could have gone to the stewards after the race. Great sportsmanship there. Now, Deanarine will be an angry man. He will want that race lead back. He will not want to lose out to Russell. He will not want to lose out to Parks-Miller, who's his closest championship rival. He'll be like a samurai carving his way through his victims on this circuit as Davis is getting a run on that of Jimmy Carroll. No, tucks back in behind. He's taking a very tight look at that into 130R. And now the big beefy Ford Mustang, 2 wheels on the grass, flicks it through 130R, gets the better run. The overspeed coming through the corner to the outside of the Casio triangle will give him the inside for the second part. He backs out of that one, looks to get the run, and the momentum
through the final curve, down the start straight. Bit of contact there. That is way too early for a pit stop for Jimmy Carroll. We said that 25 minutes, maybe you could do it. That has not worked in the past. I don't think that's going to work for Carroll now.
We've got to quickly see a replay of what happened there. Davis was actually, I believe, bump drafting Carroll. I wonder if this kind of sounds crazy. I wonder if Carroll got forced into the pit lane. I don't think that's the case.
I've just seen that on the broadcast, actually. I've just seen that on the broadcast next to me. I think you might be spot on with that.
Yeah, so I think let's try and grab a replay. I think Davis was actually giving him a bit of a bump draft. You can see Carroll completely falling off of that order now, and I don't think Carroll actually had the option there. He was just being pushed off completely for the Driver Trainer Motorsports team. We're a little bit further back on Paul Collishaw. We'll try and grab that replay for you shortly from that aerial view. But I mean, any opinions from your side, Shay? Did you see anything different there?
Particularly what happened back there, not so much. I wasn't able to catch so much the nuances there. I was kind of stuck in thought about Deanna. I was wondering if you guys were gonna kind of share my thoughts here when it came to. Oh, well, we're taking a look at what happened with Jimmy Carroll.
Yeah, we'll get back to your thoughts in a moment, Shay. Just let's have a look here. So the overspeed for Davis on the outside of Jimmy Carroll just breaks a little bit earlier than the Mercedes. He's happy to tuck back in behind him, takes the apexes of both chicanes, absolutely lovely. And then just look here, just that little tap there, just kind of brings that back end just slightly around. I don't know. I think Jimmy Carroll's decided to pit there because I think he would have had time to avoid that one. But at first glance, Tristan, I was with you. I thought he'd kind of been pushed a little bit into the pit lane, but no, I think he's if
I'd seen that before the replay, I would have thought the same thing as you guys. I would have thought he was forced in, because usually that last chicane is a very intense part of the track, especially where you go for the corner entry at the very start of it. And it's very, very intense to switch direction and come back around for the second part of it. And then when you get bumped like that, you can spin incredibly easy. So I almost wondered, did he go into the pits to save himself from the spin?
We'll find out,
it could have possibly been it. I was looking for a bit of rear end loss after the tap to see if he maybe had no other choice but either the pit wall or the pit lane, not being able to go out on track, but he didn't lose any of the rear end there. He definitely still had full control of the car despite being tagged on the back. So I think even though it looked like it, I believe he did want to go into the pit lane. But I mean, man, like Matthew was mentioning, that's a bit too early. And what we've seen in the past is that if you do that too early, by the end of the race, you actually run out of fuel on the last couple of laps. And I mean, that is such a demotivating end to your race. But I mean, Shay, you said you had a thought you wanted to share with us?
Right. So when Deanna originally lost his positions, I had wondered... At least I'd wondered if you guys thought the same way as I did, where, yes, he is now probably a very angry man to get his position back. But do you think he's also going to make sure he's not pushing so hard that he doesn't get it back? Have you ever been in a situation yourself, as sim racers, been in a situation where you maybe spun and you're chasing super hard for your position back, but you're going so hard that you spin or that you lose something or it doesn't connect?
As if you're overdriving the car. I've 100% been there. And Troy Hansen's about to tick off another victim here. My God, the Snake Eyes himself is on a mission. He's on the back of Young, who's near Garza. And Troy Hansen is on a mission. But Shay, I completely agree with you. He's got to channel that anger as he goes up the inside into Spoon. Troy Anderson. That can tick another one off the list. I hope the virtual grandstand cheering him on are ticking how many overtakes he's made in this broadcast tonight, because he is putting on a clinical display here at Suzuka. But you're right, you've got to sort of channel that anger into driving quick, but within that limit. The minute you go over that limit and start to just overdrive the car, as I like to call it, you just start to make mistakes, off tracks, little slidey moments through corner, twitches on the rear end. And that's going to just cost you time. That's going to cost you a bit of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I even tend to agree with that. And the big thing to mention, as well as we see a couple of drivers coming to the pit lane, is that when you do tend to spin a car, and especially a GT3, you're gonna create a spot on that tire. And if you do decide to overdrive that car at the wrong moment, coming through a corner on that flat spot, you might again lose it. And so I'd be like, the main thing is that if you've lost the car, you've also got to make sure you're nursing it correctly to avoid yet another incident, because it does happen quite often. You heat up those tires nicely after a bit of a spin, and then you immediately want to try and chase to get back up to your pace. And unfortunately, a car doesn't work like that. I mean, tire pressures are tire pressures. If they get too hot, well, they're going to become loose.
And the thing to add to that, Tristan, is when you come to a track like Suzuka, so easy to lose the rear at the first two bends here, so easy to lose the rear at the other end of the circuit of Spoon by just being on that throttle just a little bit too early or just a little bit too much. You know, you try and push 130R too much off the circuit. We've seen spins happen through there if you go out on the curb and just collect it wrong. So like you say, they're going to get warmed by the more you start to push and the more you start to slide through these corners. And this track is one that rewards good driving. It's not one that rewards overly aggressive driving. And I don't mean in terms of aggressive with other drivers. I mean when you're really full out attack. It rewards patience.
Yeah, absolutely. As man, this is the man of the virtual grandstand. I've got to say, Troy Anderson has got so much support going on for him there in the commentary section, and he's already up into 10th position now. Obviously, he's gotten a few freebies from those pit stops that's already happened, but I believe the virtual grandstand all busy saying they've got faith he can make it and keep it in the top 10 hopefully, and he's already looking on the backside of Gaza now. This Corvette is hungry today, so maybe there's a little bit of a better situation here, Matthew, for the mid-engine cars. I mean, Anderson looks like he's in an element here today in the Corvette, as we've seen already. So let's hope he can continue that stride with the next 30 or so minutes left of this race.
Yeah, the Viper's about to strike yet again, isn't he? Deanarine into the pits, looking for that undercut option over Russell and Parks Miller. We're also seeing Race, Coleman and Laverin into the pits. So Troy Anderson moves up into 9th place. Don't forget he's not pitted yet. Look at the confidence on the brakes into turn number 1 as they come through the second part of the first corner. And now they'll come up towards the Snake. And the Viper, he is lurking in the wing mirrors of every GT3 car he comes up behind. Look at the confidence through the left and right section that this Corvette has got. The better change of direction of this Corvette over the Mustang just helping him through this circuit at the moment. He's up to 9th place as of yet. He is still lapping quicker than every car in front of him until Clayton Sanchez in the other Corvette, and that is Garza, who has fell to be another victim to the Viper Troy Anderson tonight.
Yeah, this man is on one heck of a move here. And like Matthew already mentioned, he hasn't completed that pit stop yet, but he's doing a phenomenal job out there on track currently on that current fuel tank. I don't think he's going to need to change tires here, but he will definitely need to go in for fuel. Aaron Sunday comes out in 22nd after his pit stop. And he has a Reese from Gem Racing down in 18th. He is one position up so far. He's got pressure from Coleman, the two BMWs out on grid. And you'd think for such a popular car in GT3 racing, we'd see it more on this grid, but these two are, funny enough, the only BMW M4 GT3s on the AM grid. And I don't even know actually how many we have on the
sorry, Tristan.
grid. Oh,
Russell, drive-through penalty, speeding in the pit lane. He's came straight into the pits. The black flag's next to his name. There goes his race. He has got to come back. How many times have we said this in the first 4 weeks? Bar Silverstone, he got taken out at Spa. He made his own mistake at Daytona. Now he's got himself a drive-through penalty, and he can only put that down to himself. Well, that swings back to Deanarine in this race, but Parks Miller could lead here.
I do think that Russell has built a reputation for himself as a comeback kid. I think that even though he's got this drive-through penalty, there's still a race to run. And knowing his reputation so far in these last few rounds, he can possibly fight his way back to the front.
I think there's some element to that. Unfortunately, he's done this quite late into the race. Oh, we've got loads of drivers here. Even Betchel's got the black flag next to his name. But unfortunately, yeah, go for it.
Is he serving a stop go? Is he not coming back out? Oh, it's a 40-second hold. Has he not got to come back around to do his hold? Paul Collishaw's just got one as he's exited the pit lane, so Paul Collishaw picks up a penalty. Garza's gone side by side with Troy Anderson on the exit of the pit lane. Penalty done for Russell and pit stop done. Russell's down to 13th, going to lose out to Kingston Mullins. No, he's not, so stays 13th place. Pit stop done and penalty done. But look at that. Deanarine, 1.9 off of Parks Miller. What did I say about 10-15 minutes ago? Parks Miller is in a position where the top three was fighting so hard, he could win this race. He is your net race leader when Sanchez and Swiderski come into the pit lane. Betchel has done his penalty. Collishaw with a penalty to serve as well. And where did Anderson come out just after his pit stop there? He's down in... He's up in 10th place. What a stop for Troy Anderson. This could be a top 5 from this young man today.
Yeah, no, he's doing a phenomenal job. Unfortunately, like Shay was mentioning, even though we've seen the chase up from Russell, unfortunately, so late into this race, about 40 minutes or so, we're going to have to see what he can do down in 13th position. Sanchez does officially come in. Swiderski's got the meatball flag. What's happened to Swiderski? He's at contact somewhere, and that car has been signaled as it's too dangerous to drive out on circuit. It needs to come in for repairs. I wonder what's happened there, but Anderson still holding in 10th position. He's got pressure from behind, but he is slowly pulling away from all that pressure. The Honorine will now go up. And what's happened to Parks Miller?
That's what I was just noticing. No, Parks Miller's done his pit stop. Swiderski there, bang. That's what's happened to Parks Miller. He has wrote off Swiderski, who's had a moment through Spoon, and that is what has happened to Parks Miller then. He's collected Swiderski, who, to be fair to Swiderski, wasn't rolling across the circuit, held his brakes, made sure that he was predictable for other drivers. And, well, swings and roundabouts, I suppose, how it ebbs and flows in the world of motorsport, esports, whatever you're in. But you have to feel for Parks Mullins there. And has he returned to the pits, Parks Miller? Yes, he has. He's returned to the pit lane, down in 42nd place now for Parks Miller. Let's see if we can try and get an onboard shot here. That's at 1:30 so that's just after it's already happened. And he
rotation.
Cannot turn left in that car. Bit more damage on the front end there. I wonder if we can try and get, Jim, a replay of Parks Miller's onboard coming through Spoon at that moment before he caught thingy. We're just going to try and get a replay of that. Collishaw in for his penalty. So Troy Anderson now, 7th place, 7 seconds he can catch up to Saber. Lap times, well, we'll see after the pit stops what his pace is over Saber. His fastest lap is 1.1 quicker. Russell now back up into 10th place. Deanarine's biggest championship rival out of this race and in the pits. Let's take a look at a onboard shot of this. So he's coming through Spoon. You can't really see him in that sort of blind spot of the corner. There you see the Mercedes just get a glimpse of the rear going round. Oh, he does roll forward ever so slightly.
Oh, yeah, he did.
So he does roll into the path of Parks Miller. And what a shame for the championship protagonist, who was ahead of Deanarine and was going to claw some good points back there.
Yeah, and he was having such a good race as well. I mean, super defensive as well as offensive throughout the entire first 35 or so minutes. And it's such a shame to throw the race away like that. And obviously, to no fault of his own, it's not himself putting himself away into the pit lane and deciding not to come out again. That car, I mean, we saw it through 130 yard. There's no shot that that Mercedes was making any form of rotation. It was completely damaged up in the front in terms of suspension, and so that's completely changed the top. Davis is currently still sitting in 3rd, and he's been quite a strong contender here to change up that top 3. If he can chase up towards Carroll, somebody's off. That's one of the orange Porsches. Not too sure who that is. That's one of the drivers in the mid or possibly the backpack. So we'll have to see, as Young has also got a server penalty now, black flag to the side of his name. We'll have to see how that affects his total drive. But this is, I believe, the big eyes currently, Anderson and Davis. There are 2 stars, it seems, in that virtual grandstand. And Davis, he's got the chance to possibly change up that podium. But Anderson has got the chance to break up into the top 5 after losing so many positions at the start and now gaining it all. He has Alex Russell also down in 9, so he's gained 4 positions since that penalty. But the question is it going to be enough 40 minutes to try and catch up to that top 5?
Going to be a huge ask to try and get into the top 5 as he's on the back of Garza at the moment. You imagine this is going to be light work for Russell to get past Garza. Anderson may be a different question, though, because Anderson is on a mission tonight. Parks Miller is back out on the circuit. He's down in 28th, so will grab a handful of points in this race. But, yeah, damage limitation for what he can try and do. Remember, the drop score, there is a drop round in this championship, so his worst round will be dropped from his championship points, so it's not necessarily a bad thing as one of the back markers there stays out the way. And Russell just cannot get past that Ford Mustang. Is he going to have a look now? Through 200 there you go, up in towards Spoon, pulls out up the inside on the apex. Garza runs wide. Easy pickings for Russell there.
Easy pickings indeed. We've gotten a little bit of insight there because I think this was a name we struggled with a bit in 5th, Matthew. It's Mr. Zach up in 5th, and we've actually gotten the correct pronunciation, I believe, from a family member. So it's actually Battaglia. No, there's actually no pronunciation of the G's or the T's. It's just Battaglia. So it's Zach Battaglia in 5th position. I think that might be a bit easier. A bit easier for us to try and juggle all those T's and G's at least. So Zach Battaglia up in 5th as he chases on to Sanchez.
Thank you very much, James, in the chat. Battaglia. As Russell now is getting himself past another lapped Porsche out there on the track. He's now got to try and chase Anderson, who's on the hunt for Sauber with 19 minutes left to go. Shay, the lead of this race has changed so much. Deanarine led, Carroll's led, Russell's led, Parks Miller has led. Some form of drama has found them somewhere in this race, and 19 minutes, it could all happen again.
I think that these guys are kind of sending a message to the other racers by just all their position in the front, and they're just telling them that if you want to be up here, you need to be aggressive. You have to drive like you're hungry. These guys are all very, very, very talented drivers, but the guys up front, Deanarine, Carroll, just everyone, especially Russell, everyone's been pushing incredibly hard in those first maybe 5 positions. And as a result, we've seen a few spins, we've seen a few off tracks, but that just speaks to how hard they're driving, how badly they want these positions.
Comment in the virtual grandstand. Go, Davis, go. Contenders are dropping like flies. Grab what's yours. You've got this. I love that comment in the chat. Here's Thomas Natali going round the outside. Sorry, trying to fend off Swiderski on the inside line there. Coming now onto the inside is Natali through the Degners again, mounting that curb pretty hard onto 2 wheels, and Natali holds on to that one, and they've got Harrison waiting in the wings to try and get through as well. Go Davis, go. A lot of Davis support in the chat, as well as Sunday and as well as Anderson in this race. Kingston Mullings now on the back of Garza to move himself up into P9. Lewis on the back of Lavrin, and then we've got this fight here for 18th, 19th and 20th place. So let's see what happens in this one. Here is Jesse Lavrin side by side with Lewis. Jesse Lavrin, if I'm correct, started by the back of the grid and is now running P14. A little bit of contact through 130R. Lucky that both drivers didn't come off a bit worse than that one, Shay.
I got to give it to Shelton Lewis. He is one of my team members on Clutch's night crew. But as we've had every one of these rounds, when there's chaos everywhere else, Shelton just seems so composed. Even in the face of crashing into someone else, I must hand it to him. And I also got to say, I love his livery choice for tonight. It makes this McLaren very serious.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. It's got a pretty serious undertone to it, although, I mean, the Clutch's Night Crew livery as well does scream on-track dominance. But that grip, I mean, hopefully it's giving him more grip. Hopefully he's not sliding around there for the Clutch's Night Crew. But Shelton Lewis down in 15th. We've also got that question for Aaron Sunday. We'll get to him now because Harrison and Natali fighting each other into turn number 1. Oh, a little bit of a squabble there from Natali, and he loses out there to the likes of Harrison quite easily. But the virtual grandstand comment about Sunday, he's down at 28th at the current time being after that pit stop that he had to do. It was a compulsory pit stop, and he'll continue to push around track. But one thing which we definitely need to do is also just thank all the amazing sponsors here at the league by Foxxtecca. You're seeing all the amazing liveries. Not all of them would have been made by Dakins Designs, but there's definitely some out there. So massive thank you to Dakins Designs for being a part of Season 2 by the league by Foxxtecca. And of course, the African American Automotive Association, bringing those opportunities to the younger drivers around. We've seen so many of them already on both of our grids. I mean, Leo, not Leo, I'm thinking of our driver now, Landon Batson down. And then we've also got, there is Leo as well in the Pro Series. And obviously, Rain Woodside, Kingston Mullings, a couple of the young guns. I mean, it's just great to see again that age diversity and the country diversity that we get to see at the league by Foxxtecca.
Yeah, brilliant to see as we see in the BMW go side by side. Joe Coleman and Race here side by side. A little bit of contact then from Lewis on the back of the McLaren. The McLaren got through okay. Where does the BMW behind him emerge? Losing out a handful of places. And that McLaren of Lewis looked like he was getting dive bombed by, I think it was the black McLaren there of Race, I do believe. No, just ahead it was Lewis who looked like he was going up the inside of Coleman. That purple McLaren is actually a backmarker, not in this fight for position. But what a gaggle of cars we've got here. Here is Lewis in the black McLaren, Race in the black and orange BMW. Henriksen back up to 15th place after his spin. So what a recovery for him in this race. As it's Maya Dienarine from Jimmy Carroll from Davis, your top three.
Yeah, and I mean, the Another big mention about that. Black flag for Russell again.
That's a second one. That's got to be a drive-through for off-tracks. That has to be off-tracks.
Yeah, I think that has been off-tracks. It doesn't look like he's collided with somebody else in 8th position, but another black flag to Russell Shea, unfortunately. I know your dream was to see him chase up to top 5, but I don't think it's going to come yet tonight, unfortunately. That's very unfortunate for Russell. And looks like he did go off-track. We're seeing a replay here of what possibly could have caused it. Through Degner he comes. Did he go wide on Degner? He did, indeed. There you can see the white line edging along the curb. And he had all 4 tires, actually twice coming on the exit of Degner as well. So both of those track limits, unfortunately, contributing to the fact that he just cannot catch a break here. He had a little bit of a break in Silverstone, but unfortunately, it's come back to bite him. Here's Hendrickson on the inside of the other Porsche driver. That's the BMW M4 driver. Apologies. Over the nose he goes, unfortunately. And Hendrickson also has had the best race yet today.
Russell must still be at Silverstone, because how does the saying go? If it doesn't rain, it pours. You know, that's where he must still be. It's into the pit lane for him, and that's allowing Garza and Mullings to just maybe gain a few more places as Betchel. They're absolutely dive-bombed by Rain Woodside. Yeah, there was enough of a gap, and Betchel goes around at Spoon and hard into the wall. Jimmy Carroll, drive-through penalty. The leaders, like we saw in the chat, are dropping like flies, and Davis could now be into second. This could put... Hang on a moment. Where's Anderson? He's dropped down to 10th. He's had a moment. Yeah, he's had a moment now. So Anderson's had a moment. Suzuka's been the best race of the season. Suzuka's been fantastic.
I'm seeing all the linked patrons in the virtual grandstand who have been watching Anderson. Before we noticed what happened, I'm just seeing Dino Slayer going, no, what's happened? Oh no, what's happened? As Anderson has lost it.
Same problem.
Into turn 1, same problem he had early on in the race, which dragged him down so far. Just losing the rear, losing it slightly again, and that's 2 or 3 positions he loses for Anderson. And man, he was having such a great run as well. That is so unfortunate to see for that venomous Corvette.
That's all of a sudden where you see the virtual grandstand and heads go into hands, all in sync and in unison. And Jimmy Carroll, though, track limits, off tracks. He's now got a drive-through penalty to his name in this race. Davis is going to be in second place. He was 5th. He was 5th and nowhere near the Mercedes drivers earlier on in this race. Now he's second place. Evan Davis. It just shows if you stick in there and be consistent, you can do the job. Klubine has just got himself ahead of Kalvach for 20 seconds.
It's got to be all that YouTube support. He's got to be making some extra horsepower from all the cheers.
I was just about to say that. I mean, Michelle in the chat is telling Davis to drive it like he stole it, and I think he's doing exactly that. He's got so much raw pace up there, after 7.5 seconds to Dean, but I mean, another position gained on that podium spot in the final closing 15 minutes is exactly what you want to see in season number 2. Anderson's moved up into 9th at least. Valencia's got a yellow flag.
Sorry, ignore me. I was looking at the wrong screen.
I was going to say, I was like, what is Matthew seeing that I'm not seeing? I can't see it right now.
I was looking at the YouTube stream and there was a Mercedes span. I looked at the wrong screen for a moment. Apologies. It's been a long day. Right. Garza's on the back of Kingston Mullins. This is Dayton Harrison down in 18th place. Back marker of the McLaren just further up the road. Henriksen's trying to recover once again. And now Aaron Sunday, who's been asked for in the chat, going side by side with Collishaw through 130R. Collishaw coming out on top this time around. Where did Carroll come out in the race?
He's 4th.
Oh, he is 4th. Yeah, apologies. Yeah, so he's not lost too much. He's only lost to 2 places. Not too bad for Jimmy Carroll there then. But he's just now in no man's land. 10 minutes to go and just kind of sat getting round to the finish.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing he's lost is obviously that podium running. He was sitting in second. Now he's just out of that podium spot. And Sanchez, if he can keep his roll up, that'll be a first podium for Sanchez as well. We haven't seen him up there, but that's another Corvette driver who seems to have found his pace here today. So I think it definitely has been better for our mid-engine drivers. We've seen Anderson, we've seen Sanchez, especially in that Corvette. They seem to be a lot more comfortable here today compared to Silverstone. which is great to see. But a little bit further behind, Uven Sanduragama, he's down in 20th, trying to look for a couple of names to take. On the inside, he will go, I believe, of a back marker, but he's chasing on the backside of Natali and Harrison. Yeah, this is the battle for 18th position, and Hendrickson just a little bit further up in front. Russell moves up into 11th as he gets ahead of Coleman. He's unfortunately quite far down after those penalties that he's had to serve, and we can see Sanduragama looking everywhere in that non-continental racing team Mercedes, trying to get around that Porsche. He's going to have the advantage onto the back straight here, going towards 130R. I think he's got too much of a gap though, and he's not going to be able to get it just as yet. Swiderski, black flag penalty as well.
Yeah, Swiderski, black flag penalty now, so a few track limit penalties coming into place, and Battaglia then is now running in P5, no man's land for pretty much the top 7. The top 6. Kingston Mullins is under pressure from Gaza as this race goes late on. Dayton Harrison trying to make up a few places. He's got to try and get past Henriksen, who himself has had a moment and then got tapped around a little later on in the race. And Rizal, like you said, Tristan said, moves up into P11. Can he now just start to pull away and find himself on the back of Valencia as Dayton Harrison once again looks in towards turn number 1, but can't do anything there. And this has been so far unpredictable in this amateur race tonight. It's been unpredictable. It's been great watching.
Yeah, it's been absolutely lovely to watch. And I've got to say, it's also just been great not to see so much contact like we've unfortunately seen in previous rounds. There's been such good sportsmanship shown here today around Suzuka. And you'd think with it being the more complex circuit, there might be a few more action spots, but in general, it's just been a great race. Again, I mean, a massive shout out to the young gun, Kingston Mullings. I believe it's his father who's in chat in the virtual grandstand cheering him on right now. And I mean, he's doing an incredible job in 7th, and he's held it. I mean, look at that, 0 positions lost, 0 positions gained, and that is not a good thing nor a bad thing, because I mean, it just means he's being overall consistent. He is 100% keeping that Ford Mustang driving straight. He's not lost it whatsoever. He does have the other green Mustang, like our producer's saying, the battle of the green Mustangs, the green Vipers. As you can see, both those front headlights looking quite aggressive as they make their way around track. But he's only got 8 minutes left, Kingston Mullings. Can he hold it off now from Saul Garza from the Savage Racing Sim Racing team? We'll have to see. Only time will tell. Young has had an incident. What's happened to Young? He's dropping off the order now, down to 20th position. He's definitely lost the car somewhere. And here's a bit of a replay. Kenton Young coming into Spoon. Was it possibly a grass or curb touch? Oh, just a little bit on the outside. And on the curb he goes, loses the car.
And that's where it's so easy to do it. We've been given a different pronunciation now of Battaglia in the chat. And that's how it says in the bracket. So we've given 2 different pronunciations of that name today. So now we don't know where we are. Anderson, please don't fumble. Go.
Hold on. We should keep in mind the person that gave us this pronunciation also shares the same last name. So they might be a professional.
There we go. So Battaglia it is. Right. That's how he will now be known. I can't wait for the pro race later on, because this is going to be an interesting one. Here's the Alexis Barrington incident, who just drops the rear. Probably too early on the throttle, hard into the wall. And the Gulf liveried McLaren nearly collects somebody there, but gets going back on his way. Right, so we are getting now towards the end of this race in what has been the best race, I have to say, this season. It's been absolutely edge of your seat stuff, and it's not over yet, because in 6 minutes a lot can still happen. Side by side, Dayton Harrison with Henriksen getting really close. What a move right around the outside. Dayton Harrison at Degner 1. That is beautiful from the Mustang driver, and the Porsche did very well not to hit into the side of him as he absolutely mounted the curb.
Mounted it indeed, and now he's got to try and work it around. It almost looked like a bit of an illegal overtake from that camera angle. It kind of looked like he went off track to make it stick, but it looks like all is fine and well. He hasn't gotten any form of penalties or something to mention that was illegal, so great stuff from him. Young moves back up into 20th. Calvash has gotten himself a black flag penalty, and Holloway and Woodside have moved quite far down. I'm not too sure if they've had an incident with each other. There's no pit lane notification next to them, so both of those drivers completely down the order. I think there might have been contact between the two. We'll try and have a bit of a replay. Here's Woodside, also one of the young guns in the 296. This is again coming in to that. This is coming into the hairpin actually, and that's one of the Porsches on the outside. Oh, that is just being collected. And there's obviously the other Mercedes driver, and that's where we see the two of them completely dropping off the order. That is so unfortunate for Woodside.
Just saw a message in the Discord, Paul Collishaw, that iRacing has crashed on him, so he looks like he's possibly out of this race. And by the way, Anderson has got past Garza, who was attacking the back of Kingston Mullins. So Anderson's now up into 8th place, 1 second off the back of Kingston Mullins himself. There is the Green Viper on his way to chase down the lime green Kingston Mullins Ford Mustang. And our producer was just saying in our ear, where would Anderson have been had he not spun that second time? Easily, for me, easily in that top 5. Maybe he would have been ahead of Jimmy Carroll for 4th after Jimmy Carroll's drive-through.
Yeah, I mean, even if he didn't spin the first time around, I mean, if he didn't have both of the spins, it would be a completely different ball game for that podium. I think. So,
yeah. Podium,
yeah,
possibly pushing Davis even hard for second place.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see what's happened for Anderson. I mean, 13 positions up, obviously. But man, it would have been great to see him up in the podium spot, but just 2 unfortunate incidents on that snake section. Someone said something funny here in the box. Now I'm not too sure. Matthew's been shot down. I see he's stuck in a bit of a laughing fit. We'll give him some time to recover. Timothy Jaduba a little bit further down. He's currently trying to fight and through the spoon again. He caught it though. He wasn't going to let it happen. And he currently, Matthew, you want to share the joke to the classroom there?
No, I'm not repeating what you just said. I'm not repeating that one on there. Anderson is now on the back of Kingston Mullins. I'm crying. Anderson is on the back of Kingston Mullins for that P7 position. There's a back marker coming out the pit lane. And here goes Anderson nearly into the back of the back marker, leaving the pit exit. And Troy Anderson is on a charge here. Russell moves up into 10th place ahead of Valencia. He's got a handful of laps to try and get onto the back of Garza, but Troy Anderson, he's been up and down as much as a yo-yo has tonight in these timing tower. Can he get one more final position? That's going to be the biggest question. I tell you, Sanchez has been closing in slowly on Davis. A little mistake from Davis here or there, and Anderson could take that position for second place. 2 laps left potentially.
Yep, potentially so. We've got about 2 minutes left on the clock. And if we're looking at that average lap time between most of our drivers, it is just under that 2-minute mark. So depending on where our race leaders are currently sitting, Dion Areen is trying to look at that chaotic track map in the top right. There he is. He's been highlighted like the little smarty on track. And 2 minutes left to go. I believe this is going to be the final lap. As he does come around onto that final corner, through the main straight he goes. It is just about 1 minute and 50 seconds left. And that is not enough time to complete a whole lap and then start another one. So this is officially it. White flag has been waved. It's the final lap for Dion Areen. He has been able to get back up into first. We were talking about that hunger to get back up. Sandera Gama is looking to make one more move in this race. Same with Anderson. He's just on the backside of Mullins. The question is, he's got to make the time right to get that overtake done and dusted. They still have to go over the checkered flag one more time. This isn't it for them. And so it's all going to come down. What can Troy Anderson do? The venomous Corvette versus the venomous Mustang. Both of them in that bright green. He's on the outside, late on the brakes for Anderson. My goodness, he is hungry for this position, but it did not convert on the exit, unfortunately. Mullins had a much better run out of that Casio triangle. But it's all going to come down to who can take that first and second chicane better.
I have to take my hat off to Anderson tonight. For me, he's been the driver of this AM race. He's made his own 2 mistakes, but he's fought back. He's carried on going with his pace. He's been fantastic in this race. Hats off to Parks Miller. I just noticed he's moved into 22nd place, so he's still going out there, just clawing a few more points back. Damage limitation for Parks Miller. There's Klubine on the back of Parks Miller now, and Aaron Sunday as well, up into 24th place. He's had a few supporters in the virtual grandstand as well. As we approach the last 30 seconds of this race, we've got a quarter of a lap to go, just over. And can Anderson get past Mullins for yet another place? Benjamin Betchel here on the back of Young. As here comes Dion Areen towards 1:30. Oh, he's got plenty of time to have a little bit of a lift off, take his time through the Casio Triangle chicane and just bring it to the flag. 10, 9, 8, and Dion Areen into the Casio Triangle he goes. This will be the checkered flag as he exits the Casio chicane. Mayor Dion Areen has been up and down the top 4 all race long, but he's going to take yet another race win. He wins at Suzuka. Dion Areen, round 4 race winner. What a drive from him. And then it's Evan Davis a little further back who's going to take second place. We're going to stay with this action, though, as Troy Anderson has 2 corners, 130R and the Casio chicane to try and get this move to stick. I sense Tristan, full send.
Yeah, full send it might be, but he has to remember he does not want to take out Mullings here for just 1 position gained overall, but we did see he breaks way later into Casio Triangle. He's quite far though from it. What's it going to be for Anderson? Check how much later he is on the brakes of that Corvette, but unfortunately doesn't convert too well on the exit as the Mustangs got slightly better line through Casio and just not enough for Troy Anderson to make it. Kingston Mullings holds off like a champion, and that is going to be the running order between the two of them. Mullings takes second, Anderson will take 7th for Mullings, and Garza takes 9th. Russell, after all the penalties, down in 10th position. Valencia takes 11th. Here's another fight on track, and Young has lost it in Spood on the final lap, unfortunately. He manages to stay out of the wall, but so unfortunate for Young there. He got a little bit of pressure from Betchel behind, and now he might even lose out from Klubine and Parks Miller as they come through that final back straight up to 130R. He's now on the outside line for Young. We can see Sunday's also joining
Parks
in on
Miller.
this, and this is going to be very close. Parks Miller gets a black flag as well.
Oh, what a shame, because he's had a good comeback drive in this race. And yeah, what a shame for him. 40 seconds will be added to his time in this one. So all that work he done to limit the points lost in this one, as he's he gets ahead of Young. So with both their black flags, he should. No, he doesn't get ahead of Young. Spinner in the background. That is Sunday, spun around by Swiderski on the exit to the chicane. And there are some lapped cars just gone. No, that was Rain Woodside coming through for position. The other one was a lapped car. Swiderski 24th, Woodside 25th, as they end up ploughing into each other at the end. What a race the AM has provided for us here in the first race of the evening. We've got the pro race coming up just after our podcast with our youngest driver on the grid. So you want to stick around in the mid-session break for that one. That's with Landon Baston as Lewis Holloway's about to come across. Oh no, he's just finished his race. We'll get the final classifications for you first before we head to our small break, as it's Maya Dianarine wins by 12 seconds from Evan Davis. Clayton Sanchez in third from Jimmy Carroll. Battaglia was P5 from Sauber. Mullings, Troy Anderson, Sal Garza, Alex Russell, damage limitations, good job from him. Piero Alejandro Valencia from Jesse Lavrin, Joe Coleman, Shelton Lewis, Julian Rees, Dayton Harrison, Vigard Henriksen, Thomas Natali, Sandy Regama from Betchel, Klubine, Swiderski, Woodside, Sunday, Young, Caden Parks Miller 26th after that penalty, Jadubal in 27th from Calvach, Ramirez, Zachary Wood, Martinez, Tostado, Holloway and Burnett. Your top 33.
From 33 onwards, we then have 34th. That's Majori to Odom, Barrington and Montgomery in 37th. Jacob Swope will take 38th. And Paul Collishaw down in 39th position. Half-eyed, Garassi, Perry, and Martinez, 43rd position. Sedarius Days takes 44th. John Smallwood, 45th. Jeffrey Hong takes 46th. Lazan Young Dilworth, 47th. And our final driver, who unfortunately didn't take to the grid in today's racing due to a technical issue, Mr. Landon Batson. You'll see him up on your screen shortly as we will head into that intermission phase before our pro race. We'll also try and get the track map up for you when we start off our pro race session. Hopefully we've got some time to display it then. We unfortunately didn't have time to display it in our AM race, but it will be good to get a nice overview of the track that we're racing here tonight. But I've got to say, any final words also from your side, Shay? What a great race this has been between the AM drivers and such great sportsmanship shown.
This was an insanely great race. There was tons of sportsmanship shown on the track. We had Too Fast and Too Furious Deanna Reen coming out to take the win. It was all wonderful to see. I love that almost just about everyone on Clutch's night crew tonight, they've done really well. Shelton, again, stayed calm throughout the storm of the entire race. Gotta love that.
Gotta love that indeed. Well, we're going to take a short break while you enjoy the latest podcast episode. We'll be back for Pro in a short moment.
The League, brought to you by Foxxtecca, where the fast become unforgettable. Here's your host, Chris Harris.
What up, everybody? We are back to the League podcast. I'm your host, Chris Harris, and I'm excited about this one today. Go across the internet all the time. A big part of what I do is trying to find interesting people online. in regards to obviously racing and with our podcast Sim Racing. And I came across a young man that's 7 years old, and he's starting to build a presence for himself in the sim space. And I was watching him online and just navigate. 7-year-old has talent. He's shifting through gears on his sim rig, and he's racing in, I think, the F1 game. And I was just amazed by what I saw. And I reached out to him, got in touch with his dad, and we got him here today. So I'm really, really hyped about just learning about this family's dynamic, their racing, kind of what gets them going, what makes them tick, why they're deciding to do this, their passion in racing. And so I'm going to stop running my mouth and get right to it. Again, this is the podcast. This is the League podcast brought by Foxxtecca. Big shout out to our sponsors, Superlap, the Roasting Record, our broadcast partners for the league. Every race we do, we broadcast live on YouTube and this year on Twitch. Big shout out to Apex Racing TV. They're our partners in that. The African American Automotive Association, which I am the founder of, and then Dakins Design, they're the official livery designer of the league, and they've done all of the designs of the cars of Team Foxxtecca that you see this year. So, without further ado, I want to welcome Dameron and Landon Batson to the podcast. Let me get them in here.
Hey, how's it going, Chris? Appreciate you having us.
Fellas, what up, what up, what up? Thank you for coming. Thank you for being part of this. I'm super excited because it's clear we got a 7-year-old boy here that's doing it online. Like, it's Landon. What's going on, man? How you feeling?
Nothing bad.
Nothing bad? You excited you had a good Christmas?
Yes.
Awesome. I see you got your wheel in front of you, so you're obviously ready to get to some racing.
Yes.
Dad, man, I kind of want to start with you really quick. Dameron, like 7-year-old son, and you're literally guiding him through this racing lifestyle. Like, how did this all come about?
Man, first of all, again, appreciate you having us on. It's kind of crazy how this happened with the viral post, and of course, we'll get to all that, I'm sure. But really, man, like I've loved racing since I was a kid. I grew up watching Jeff Gordy in NASCAR. Right, he was Rookie of the Year when I was born, so I had a lot of that gear growing up. But my parents, they didn't. We didn't have the funds back then, right? Sim racing wasn't around. Like indoor karting wasn't, what it was now. And again, we'll get to this, but it was, too dangerous for them. I think is what they felt. But fast forward last year, I was watching Drive to Survive, and Landon comes around the corner, and he sees the cars and the drivers and the lights, and just the intensity of all of it. And we start watching just racing clips, highlights here and there, like of everything, right? Of NASCAR highlights at Pocono, of highlights of Le Mans, and he's like, Daddy, I think I want to do this. And so signing up.
How old was he when he said that?
He was 6. He had just turned 6. And I think we saw like Gran Turismo was on sale at the time. Yes. And, I wasn't big into it. I hadn't been playing the game for a while, but it was like, hey, we'll just pick it up. We started racing each other. We always loved cars. Like that's always been a thing. But once we started racing each other, like he wanted to get a wheel. We got a wheel. And he's like, I want to get in the go-kart. And you know how it goes. It just kept going.
That's awesome. So Landon, you knew what excited you about what you saw on TV?
Well, I just saw like when someone crashes, that's really it. And if you make one mistake, because I watched the race in Monaco, and if you make one mistake in there, you're out. And I learned that you have to keep it on track, and if you don't, then you're probably gonna get like crashed or something like that.
So it was the skills that you loved that made you want to tell your dad, like, hey, I want to do this.
But when I got my first wheel, I was thinking like, should I do go-kart racing?
What was it about it that like attracted you to racing first? Why you want to be a race car driver?
I wanted to be a race car driver because I like the intensity and I like how fast the cars go.
That's absolutely awesome. And it's funny because like as me growing up, I always loved cars, but it never got in my mind that I wanted to be a race car driver. So as imagine like at 6, it's amazing that you knew like you've watched this, and that's the power of marketing, right? You have these movies, you have all these other things, and the kid goes, I want to do that. And then now through accessibility that we have these sims and it's more affordable, Dad, you was able to find a way, right? You're like, you know what?
Yeah.
We can make this happen.
You know, it's funny. Like you'll see comments on his posts that are like, "Oh man, it's just a rich kid." And I'm like, I wish.
No, it's so true. The misconception, and I think traditionally racing has always been a rich kid's game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like now, and this is why I've been so attracted to sim racing, because now there's cheaper ways to get into the sport. It ain't super cheap, but there's more affordable ways to get into the sport, and you can upgrade as your passion goes, right? And so Dad said that you guys used to race. So I'm not gonna ask Dameron this. I'm gonna ask Landon. Who was better, you or Dad?
Probably me.
Yeah, probably so.
Right away, he was like, I was better.
Yeah.
So who was your favorite driver?
I like Lewis Hamilton.
The GOAT, Lewis Hamilton. Yep, absolutely. How did you feel when he went to Ferrari? Were you happy?
I was kind of surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought he was gonna stay with Mercedes like for 2 more years, then go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it shocked a lot of people that he went to Ferrari as quick as he did. But one thing, he brought a lot of fans to Ferrari, because I don't even think about Mercedes Patrones anymore. At all. I see it. Yeah, I see it. Yeah. It's so true. So obviously you guys are doing the racing on the Sims now. How did the transition to karting start?
Yeah, so once we knew he could, control himself on the sim, he started asking, like, "Hey, can I get in a go-kart?" And so we started looking around, at places. There was nowhere near us though that would let him drive a kart because of his height and his age. I
Yeah.
guess there were, safety concerns.
That insurance liability. They weren't trying to hear that.
Right. Lawsuit waiting to happen. But when we went to Maryland to visit my grandparents in Ocean City, there was and it was very slow go-karts, like excruciatingly slow for him. Yeah, it was super slow, but they let him drive. And so that was the first time. But then we came across Victory Lane in Charlotte, same place that, Kingston Mullins, which races in the league, and you've had him on the podcast before. He raced in the adult league there, the pro class above Landon. And so that's where he got his first taste in January of this year.
Landon, how did it feel to finally get in the kart?
It felt really good because I was thinking, like, will I crash or will I, like, not crash? It was kind of hard for my first time.
What was hard about it?
I didn't know the line of the track yet, and I felt like I was getting really slow.
He was slow.
Yes.
But it's amazing that at that time, I assume he's 6, right? Going into 7.
Yeah.
He's thinking about lines of a track, which is insane, right?
Yeah, right.
So do you look at Landon, I guess, like when you look at these tracks in your racing, what do you think about? Because now obviously it's not like you're just going out there and driving. Like you're going out there trying to study lines and find the fastest line.
Well, I have tracks like on the game that I don't know yet, like Australia, Suzuka, some other tracks. But all the other ones I know because I've raced on them more than Australia and Suzuka.
What's your favorite track?
I like Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi, that's a good
Yes.
one. Abu
Yeah.
Dhabi's a good one. So have you competed in kart? Like, have you done competitive racing in the karting
Yes.
yet? How's that
Yeah.
gone?
It's going good. I got a first place trophy. I think it was my 4th race Little League.
Mhm.
And after that, I felt like I was a world champion.
So I could imagine, like, age-wise, right? Like, you're racing and beating people who are older than you.
Yes.
My
I beat people that are twice my age.
my man Landon is not out here playing. Pops, how do you feel? Like, how does this all make you feel?
It makes me feel really good. It makes me feel like I'm a teenager.
That's absolutely awesome. That's something to really be proud of, because there's some people that go their whole lives racing and never get a win,
Yeah.
right? So for you to
Yes.
be able to do it at such a young age and then beating people twice your age is absolutely, it's a huge feat. You should be very, very proud of yourself.
Yes.
How did they all look when they saw that they were beat by essentially a 7-year-old? I'm sure some of those guys had some.
They were kind of like disappointed that they got beat by a kid, and they were kind of surprised also.
Landon, I'm not gonna lie. If I go out there in the track and I'm racing you and I lose to you, I'm gonna be real disappointed too.
Yeah.
I'll
For sure.
definitely reevaluate my entire life of racing. But that just shows how good you are, and it's clear that
Yes.
you're putting in the work and you're putting in the time, and so you're doing the sim racing and you're doing the karting. But Pops, one thing that you've done a great job at is taking advantage of what's happening now with social media
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
streaming and being able to get your son visible, right? And I talk to a lot of drivers, pro drivers, and sometimes they don't want to hear this.
Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to the League by Foxxtecca for week number 4 here at Suzuka. It is time for the pros to take to the circuit. Qualifying is underway, but first of all, let's take a little bit of a look at the circuit.
Yeah, we've got a neat track map lined up for you, and if you were here to watch the AM race, unfortunately we weren't able to show it. We thought we had a good 3 or so minutes to spare, but just unfortunately not. But here we go, looking at the overview of Suzuka here in Japan, heading into turn number 1, and then into that downhill turn number 2, up until 3, 4, and 5, commonly referred to as the snake or the S's, depending on what you would like to call it. Then heading into turn number 6, that's being our anti-banked curve. Turn number 7, the inaugural Dunlop left-hander, where you can drift out wide if you aren't careful on that throttle application. And if we all know it, if you've ever raced at Suzuka, touching that sand can be quite detrimental to your lap time, so you do have to watch out with that. But as you head down up the uphill, you head towards the more flatter side of the circuit through the Degner chicane of 8 and 9. From Degner, we head through up toward the hairpin of turn number 11. Turn number 10 being a slightly smaller kink, not really a proper corner, as we also see the intersection there between the two track layout moments. We then obviously head through that hairpin, like I mentioned, on the right-hand side. It then heads uphill, back up towards turn number 12, that being the likes of 200R, and then towards Spoon Curve at the top, where if you were watching the AM race, we unfortunately saw quite a lot of drivers get their names taken just due to losing that rear end. So let's hope we don't see too much of that here today. But after Spoon Curve, you head onto the back straight, and that heads onto the inaugural 130R, turn number 14, where we do see drivers going out wide if you do not take the application right. From number 14, we head to 15 and 16, the Casio Triangle chicane, where again, you have to be cautious about your entrance to exit ratio. You do not want to jeopardize your exit. And then from 15 and 16, we head into that final corner, the last corner of the Japanese circuit of Suzuka, and back onto that main straight. And that is your official track map for today's racing. Obviously, we're ready in our second session for today, but what a great circuit to watch racing on.
Beautiful circuit to watch racing on. After that fantastic track explainer there from Tristan, we have some sad news. The Audi for Tristan is no more. The driver who is driving the Audi, that of Murison, has decided to go to the McLaren for the rest of the season. So sadly, Tristan will not be able to see his beloved Audi on the circuit, and Murison has chosen the McLaren. in the way. But let's see what happens. Qualifying is underway. Tristan, I feel you because there's no Acuras on the grid, so we share the same pain now. There's none of our favourite cars out there.
Yeah, we're both in a little bit of a slump, so it's unfortunate. I think Shay, he's fine because from his team selection, I think your favorite car is a McLaren, but I might be wrong. Obviously, you'll let us know that shortly. But man, that's unfortunate to see. There's no V10s in here, man. The good old sweet high pitched sound that's missing from today's racing. We've just got dark toned V8s of the Mercs and the Fords and the Aston Martins. And we'll go over the pro points shortly. We do see a couple of purple sectors coming in there, but here's our pro points going into the qualifying session. It's going to appear up on your screen shortly. There it is, and that's the ambush points. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get those up for the time being. Maybe we can get it up in a couple. But I mean, back to you, Shay. What's your favorite pick out on the grid?
So my favorite pick on the grid, surprisingly, isn't the McLaren. It's not one of my favorite GT3 cars, even though it is the car of choice for Clutch's Night Crew this season. My favorite car on the grid was absolutely the Audi R8. That was my dream car since I was a child.
Splendid.
It was one of the most marvelous cars I've ever seen, just in life, in racing, just in existence. My father wants to get one. Everyone I know just loves them. I would have loved to see that car on track tonight, but I know things change. People want to get into different cars. Maybe they feel they'll do better. So I will say, of the cars that exist on track right now, I'm actually a really big fan of the Mustang.
Fair enough.
Mustang,
You can't hear our producer Jim, but he's with me on the Acura. Thank you, Jim.
No, you're not. This is lies. This is lies.
If we're on about cars on the current grid, I've got to go Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, the Merc is I believe a great choice, and I mean especially for myself. I mean, I don't know what our producer's running. I believe we all actually also run a different title of LMU, but I've got to say the Merc is probably one of my best picks in that platform. I don't know what it is for the likes of Matthew and Jim.
I'm only driven the BMW and the McLaren, and I don't like the McLaren on other games, but I like it on LMU. But I've not got all the DLCs yet, so
funny enough, I actually agree with that. The McLaren feels really good on that platform. Really compared to something like ACC. But in any case, we're on iRacing here. We're not on LMU. As we see, the qualifying is officially underway. Grabowski sets the fastest lap time. Never mind, Pala does. We'll get your live timings tower up on the left-hand side. 1:57.3 from Ballast Pala currently. And what a great charge up into the lead there for the Seshay driver. He now leads over everybody else. Where's his teammate, though, of Marat's? As we usually see the Seshay drivers teaming up towards the front side. Unfortunately, Marat's hasn't gotten a valid lap time in just as of yet.
Where's Molly Joff? He's down in 24th. He was the quickest in the practice session that the drivers had. He's down in 24th place. And I think it's worth mentioning, Tristan, Jim brought it to our attention when we was in that mid-break screen. Grabowski actually took the race win in race 1 last week over Nesov. So Grabowski actually scored the most pro points over Silverstone last week. So a great week for Grabowski. He'll be looking to add to his tally here at Suzuka. And another thing, we mentioned about the diversity of nationalities, ages, sexes, obviously with having some female drivers on the grid for the first time. Let's give a shout out to these European drivers. We've got Hungarians, Brits, Danes, Russians, Portuguese, Ukrainians, all on this grid. Let's not forget, Tristan, our commentator, is in South Africa. He's 2 hours ahead of me in England. It's 1:30 for me. It's 3:30 for Tristan. So give a big shout out to these European drivers who are driving at early hours of the morning here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's one thing. It's one thing sitting and talking at this time of the morning, but I've got to tell you, trying to focus on keeping a car out on track at this time of the morning, I don't think I'd be able to cope. So it is a great stride from these drivers to do what they're doing and do it at the pace as well. I mean, we've seen Marley, Joff, Ballast Pala, most of them obviously sitting in that European time zone. Conrad has at least got, well, I'm not too sure. Shay and Jim can give us some insight as to what time it is right now in the Americas, but he's currently sitting in second. Maybe he's got a little bit of a better timing situation than what the Europeans do.
Depending on if he's on the East Coast, it's about 8:30, 6:30, I think, if he's on the West Coast.
It's currently 8:38 right now.
Yeah, there you go.
8:38.
No, there you go, 4:30. So there you go, even better for these drivers. So yeah, interesting to see.
Afternoon and evening racing.
And I tell you what, this is what brings Foxxtecca. Tristan, me and you covered last season, and we were so eager. You know, the way Apex work is they put the roles out for the commentators, first come, first serve for the commentators. Me and you, they didn't even put this back out for season 2 because we wanted season 2. We already said before season 1 ended, we want season 2. This league is so good, not just from a driver's point of view, but for us, we love this. We're happy to stay up at this time of night, early hours of the morning, because this is such a fantastic league to be a part of.
Oh, not even a part of that fact. I literally said when Chris announced, all right, cool, we're starting in January. I was like, great, late Christmas present. That's what I like to see. You're not going to take my Christmas present away from me. Thank you very much. And fortunately, we're here today. We've been watching it now. Joff jumps to the top. There we go, Matthew. The Brit does it in true style for in the Corvette. 156.9. Yeah, that is not the biggest margin of difference, but he's managed to do it at least and sits currently in P1.
Yeah, good time from Marley Joff there. And you say it's a late Christmas present. Somebody actually sent me, and this is true, somebody sent me something on social media today saying it's 46 weekends until Christmas. in February. Why he sent me that in February, I don't know. But you say it's a late Christmas present. It could also... I love... Jim, it could never annoy me. I love Christmas. It's brilliant. I'd keep my tree up all year round if I could, but I can't. Molly Joff, provisional pole. Here comes Ballas Pala. Will get this final... this will be tight to get in his final lap in here.
I'm just going to say right now, I'm going to be keeping my eye on Pala this whole race. I don't care what anyone says at this point. He is my favorite driver in the pros.
Yeah, Marotz hasn't had the best of lap times. Yeah, 157.6. Unfortunately, the two Sachet drivers are near each other to try and work together up towards the front there by Joff. So hopefully, if Joff gets a good extension out of Casio Triangle, he can pull away and avoid any of that. But here's your starting grid. Marley Joff starts off in P1. Ballas Pala takes second. Denis Grabowski, who did get the overall best points last round, starts third. Nikolai Peterson, fourth, with Jaden Conrad down in fifth. Marcel Marotz down in sixth, with Andre Castro in seventh. Leo Dragota, also one of the young guns, down in eighth. Gregory Hooverson, ninth position, with Aaron Zurek in 10th. Kevin Rold in 11th, and 12th position for Guilherme Andre.
13th place for Russell Soto, Alessandro Torchio. Great qualifying for him. We've not seen the best of him this season in 14th. Zohair Ahmed in P15. Josh Green, 16th place, ahead of Tyler Carr and Cadence Presley. Elliot Court will be P19 from Paul Nye. Then it's AJ Rosselli in 21st. Miles Brown, P22. From Joe Manzoli and Tyler King rounding out the top 24.
Yep, 25th onwards, we've got Lucas Souza, Eric Halsband, and then Chris Wetz, 27th from Roasted Records. Kyle Robertson takes 28th. Andrew Herschel will take 29th position. Arnav Singh, 30th for him. Dominic Koroshavin, 31st position. Aaron Ackles down in 32nd, and Anthony Cuthbert takes 33rd. Cameron Brown, 34th, with Zane Khan in 35th. And 36th is Corbin Lenaway from Impact Sim Sport.
Indeed he is. And then in 37th place is Mirisen in the solo driver at the back of the grid for the Austrian Sim Racers team. If he'd have stuck in the Audi, he could have been P1.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
100%.
Lucky jump. I could have worked some magic, from Jim's side to override qualifying and just slide him into first, and we just wouldn't have called Chris,
Yeah, exactly. It looks like there's a couple of cars who haven't yet taken to the grid. There's an empty spot of what should be. There he is. Ballas Palace just appeared, as is the car in the midfield as well. Everybody is on to the grid. We get ready for this pretty long formation lap as they enter Spoon Corner to start it. But we're 4 weeks in, halfway through the season already. If you want to know what's coming up in the second half of the season, we go to Barcelona for Format B, back to the 2 30-minute races with the top 8 inverted next week. We head to my home circuit of Donington Park for the Format A. Imola, lovely track, Format B. And then we end at Laguna Seca for Format A. So we are 4 races in, halfway stage of the season. Now, let's just go back to that AM category a second. We're halfway through the championship. Tiana Reed sitting pretty now, isn't he, in this championship in AM?
Yeah, absolutely.
Literally, that livery is very pretty that he had today.
It was.
Yeah, it's sitting pretty in 2 ways, I suppose. But one thing was to apologize if it is on anybody's mind. I don't think it is, but we do apologize in terms of starting grid if we do have to slightly speed things up and read names a little bit too fast. For your liking. It's unfortunately just due to the scale of grids we have here at Foxxtecca. Obviously, you saw 48 cars in the Pro AM division, well, the AM division, whichever you want to call it, doesn't really matter too much. And then obviously 37 cars in the Pro grid. So, I mean, amalgamated together, what are we looking at? About a good 80 to 85 car grid total for Foxxtecca. Again, one of the biggest GT3 grids in private iRacing leagues currently running. So, I mean, this is the place to be, as Matthew will now take you. The pace car comes in to the pit stop.
Indeed, the pace car comes in, and we're about to go green here at Suzuka for the final time this evening as Marley Joff puts the throttle to the floor and already pulls away from Ballas Pala. The lights will go green imminently, and they pretty much go single file in the top 4 or 5. Over the line they go. Marley Joff extends his lead. Ballas Pala defending in towards turn 1 of the Aston Martin of Grabowski. Up the inside, Grabowski looks coming through the final part of what is called first corner into the snake now. They stay single file out the front. Great to see everybody come through the shot of that lovely camera angle through turn 1. But Marley Joff, pedal to the metal as he has got a little bit of a spiking connection there for the server. But what a start for the Corvette and the Brit as they enter up towards Dunlop now. 2 abreast they go in that midfield. Look at all these cars jostling for position as they enter to the Degners. Pala has got some work to do because Marley Joff looks back to his best.
Yeah, he had a great pull-off there on the start-finish straight. And as you mentioned, completely blindsided the likes of Pala a bit further behind. He had no choice. Pala had absolutely no choice to try and attack, but all he could do was technically defend from behind, as we see this massive grid of cars behind now working their way up into the hairpin and that final couple of corners and sectors in the Suzuka circuit. But so far, it has been a clean lap. I can gladly say it now, as we've had no cars off in the first 2 sectors, which is great to see in the Pro Series, as unfortunately sometimes the aggression levels get a little bit too high for what the track can handle. But fortunately for this time around, it's looking pretty good. You'll see a live timings tower on the left-hand side as all the drivers will be pretty orange and yellow timing tower differences. As you can see, it's all orange and yellow, as we did see one of the drivers behind, I believe that was Conrad, who just almost lost out there in his Aston Martin, but now coming into 130R. All the drivers tucking into one single line. What can they do? Coming through 130R, still looking relatively clean. Let's hope we can keep the cleanliness, though, coming towards the end side of this race.
Yeah, let's keep that as we say that. That is King into the wall hard on the right-hand side. There's a white bumper coming across the gravel as well, so I'm not sure who the white bumper is from. There's another car off there at the chicane. That looks like it could possibly be Wets, who was tumbling down the order a little bit. There's Cameron Brown in the Effect Simulations car. And here goes Dragotta trying to get past Marox here in the 2 Ford Mustangs coming into the snake for the second time. Also, don't forget, to any of the AM drivers listening, if you want to be interviewed, come into the commentary box at the end of Pro and we'll try and get a word with you guys at the end of the race, as well as thank you in the chat. I've seen a few comments in the chat for the commentators tonight. Thank you all. We appreciate the kind words. Keep bringing them in over the virtual grandstand for this Pro race, as we're on board now with Guillaume Andre in that 10th place position, just sat on the back of Torcho, who, let's be honest, hasn't really got going this season. Up in 9th place, this could really kickstart his championship.
Yeah, we saw he had quite an action-filled season number 1, but like you mentioned, a little bit over the curbs there. That's the inside there for Rold, I believe, or Conrad and Castro just trying to find his way around. It actually was Castro going over the curbs there. He's moved into the Mustang. The Aston Martin, I'm used to seeing him in the McLaren, but obviously that was with the fixed season 1 regulations. But yeah, definitely Torcho. He had a great run in season number 1 in that McLaren, but he's just been struggling out there in the Ford Mustang. I can't lie to you. He hasn't had the best of starts of the season, and we're already halfway in. He's only starting to find his feet now. Currently up in 9th position. Let's hope he can keep it. Remember, there is no second race to make up for anything. Yeah, it's only one 1-hour race. You have to make up everything that you can in this one. So, and somebody's off. Is that Conrad? It is. It's the 3rd incident he's had already. It is Conrad. It's the 3rd incident he's had already now in the past couple of laps. We did see him squabble, and he's out. He's taken the car to the pit lane. That was a huge hit for the Aston Martin.
And I think it disappeared in the pit lane, Tristan, as Jim just tried to change over to it. I think he is done for the day, as this is now Presley looking around the outside of that of Rold. Can't do it through there. Now tries to get the better exit of the Casio Triangle chicane. And in that powerful Ford Mustang, front engine versus front engine, they come down the start-finish straight to try and attack each other in towards the first corner. They will go. Marley Joff, 0.8 of a second, and extending that lead over Ballas Pala. He looks pretty comfortable here, and we said that this would be a track that would suit the Corvette and Marley Joff after his win back at Spa. He's found it tough the previous 2 weeks. Look at that, 3 wide almost, and Kyle Robertson through the middle. Now he has Herschel coming back underneath him. What a move here between the 2 Mercedes. Great little scrap happening into the snake, side by side. Can Herschel hold it round the outside, or give him the inside for this next bit? No, he cannot. And Wets and Brown waiting in the wings as Wets and Herschel go side by side a little further back. Now Aston Martin versus Mercedes-Benz. Aston around the outside of the final part of the snake. That'll give him the inside line for Dunlop. Great side-by-side action here at Suzuka. Now, all of a sudden, Wets will have that inside line for the two Degners. Can Herschel get it done around the outside? It'll be a brave, bold move. He still keeps the nose on the outside. Now breaks a little bit earlier to try and get the run through Degner 2. Looking for the up and under. Can't quite get that one done there. Now pulls out just through this little right-hand kink. He'll be on the outside line, though, for the hairpin. And will he try for the up and under again? No, he won't. He's going to lose out a bit of traction on the exit of the corner. That Mercedes tucks back in front.
I just saw Souza's livery again, that same replica that he had on the McLaren, and I believe we've already mentioned about that super clean, like green line effect, Tron effect on that Mercedes. It really does look dominating as he currently heads out in 22nd position, chasing onto the backside of Halseband. He has Russell Soto, one of those Golden Falcons, and he's currently chasing onto the backside of Presley in 14th. Rold is a little bit further up as well. But what a great start off from Joff, I've got to say, Matthew. I mean, 1.2 seconds ahead of Pella. And now he's just extending. It was about 8/10 a couple of laps ago, I think 1 or 2 laps ago. And he is just doing a fine job over there. Let's just hope he doesn't do the same as Anderson did into turn number 1. We do not want to see the same Corvette repeats happening this race. But there's Grabowski as well in 3rd. Peterson will sit 4th. Marot in 5th. And there's Dragado, one of the young guns. He's in 6th. He didn't have the best race last week in Silverstone as he had a couple of technical issues, I believe. And thankfully this time around, he is running the full length in 6th. Let's hope he can keep on strong on the backside of Marotz and Peterson and keep the 6-way train going. Zurich is also there in the back as well as Hooverson. We saw the two of them have a great fighting chance for the win last week at Silverstone. Those two will also be in that. And then obviously Torchio, the driver we haven't seen much of this season. Let's hope he can start to light up and join that overall pack first.
Indeed so. Zane Khan didn't take to the start. Jaden Conright has retired from this race. And Joe Manzoli's actually just drove through the pit lane, I've just noticed on the timing tower. So possibly an early penalty for him already. That's very early in this race. But like you say, Hooverson, work to do in this race to try and get ahead of Zurich and onto the back of the lead 6. But Joff, at the minute, 3/10 quicker than Ballas Pala last time around in the Sachet Esports car. And what a start for Marley Joff. The problem is, it's only 7 minutes gone. There's 53 minutes to go. It's a long way to the end with a pit stop included. About 35 minutes into this race. Back down to Koroshavin then in P number 20 on the back of Miles Brown. Is he going to pull out onto the inside line into Spoon Corner? Has a look. That just sends Brown just a little bit wide. Has another look at the second part of Spoon. Trying to keep that car as tight to the apex as he can. Gets a run out the corner, does the Mercedes-Benz though, on his outside and chops the nose and says, you are not coming past me at 130R. This is now going to be intense. What will Koroshavin do? Lift off a little bit maybe, put the throttle back down. Whoa. Indeed he does, nearly taps the rear of the Mercedes-Benz. And what drama at Suzuka, Shay?
This is a lot just for the first few minutes of the race. I was going to say a lot earlier, it's a shame what happened to Conright, but I think I might have understood what happened, in his mind there. We got to remember these are long races, but these are all very important to everyone that's in them. And to have so many incidents at the start of the race, you might feel like you just don't have it that night.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like we mentioned, he already had a couple of squabbles before that main incident. He obviously didn't go off anywhere, but we saw a couple of tail flicks and a couple of moments of just not having control of that Aston Martin. And I can't lie to you, I wasn't saying it was too much of a surprise when we saw him go off there because he wasn't looking too comfortable in that Aston Martin. And unfortunately, it did just lead from one thing to another. And out of this race he goes. Chris Waits down in 26th position for the Roasted Records team. He's currently trying to tail onto the backside of Herschel right now. And we'll see what they can do into the next couple of corners. But like Matthew mentioned, long race ahead of us. Still a good 51 minutes of racing and a mandatory pit stop that'll need to come at the halfway mark. So we're going to need to watch for what the drivers can perform. We see Rekka, I believe that's the 8th. Rekka the 8th saying Corvette Gang. Unfortunately, that Corvette Gang is a one-man army as Joff, the only Corvette out on track. But he is doing the team well indeed, 1.7 seconds ahead of the rest of the Mustangs and Mercedes as he holds off in P1. But he has Marotz, he's chasing onto the backside of Peterson with Dragota just behind him. And I got to say, Dragota is not giving it an easy time here for the Sesha Esports driver. Looking all over the backside right now, trying to find the inside. Oh no, this is, okay, he pulls in again. I was going to say, too wide through 130R. We could have seen something.
Whoa! Marox has lost it on the... How has he not put that in the wall? Marox has saved that somehow and has kept hold of the position. We've got to get a replay of that. He now loses out to Leo Dragotta coming through the final curve. They're side by side, but let's see what happens here. This is coming through 130R. Dragotta pulls out, nearly tags the rear bumper as he pulls back in behind Marox there. Just wiggles on the curb. Side, left, right, soaring at the wheel. Somehow keeps hold of the car and brings it back onto the circuit. And we'll see when we go live. I can tell you he hasn't kept hold of that position looking at the timing tower. He is now behind Leo Dragotta with Zurich and Hooverson on that train now of them three. But my, oh my, hats off to Marox there. He kept hold of that brilliantly.
Yeah, I've got to say I've got some great content now for my Instagram channel because it can be a perfectly cut screen moment. We're all just relaxing and then it is, whoa, as we just see Marot almost eating the wall there for breakfast. But I mean, what a great job to keep it out of the wall there, and especially over the grass. I mean, we know what the GT3s do over the grass. They do tend to lose control, and he really did manage to control it. Unfortunately, it completely ruined his straight line speed. And Dragotta one up. Very easy position there for the young gun, and he's going to be sitting nicely up in front. Here's a little bit further behind. It's Castro versus Torchio, and Torchio has unfortunately lost out yet again in the two V8s. It's a battle for the two of them, and we see Andre a little bit further behind in 11th position. Hooverson and them are quite ahead now of Castro and Torchio. And so Torchio just still struggling there for the 07 Racing team. He's lost out now to yet another car, and he will sit on that edge of that top 10. Let's hope he can keep that or possibly try and pull himself up there in the green and black Ford Mustang. He's still got a lot of time to play with, though. 49 minutes on the clock. Let's hope he can do something with it.
I'm just looking at the timing tower, and every lap that's gone by, Marley Joff has been at least 0.3 of a second quicker. This is Anthony Cuthbert then. This is coming through Dunlop in towards the Degno 1 corner. Just getting out of shape, just on exit. Oh, and I tell you what, well avoided of the wall again. Please tell me he doesn't hit the wall under the bridge. Oh, brilliant. Parked it to perfection. How these drivers are not putting this in the wall,
he has lost the back, though.
He has lost the rear bumper. So
and the front.
he has lost the front. So that must, I wonder if that was in an earlier incident, not too sure, but he definitely didn't touch the wall in both of them two. This is Josh Green looking up the inside of Andre through turn number 1. One of the Golden Pigeons coming through the inside line, and up he goes, moves himself into P11. Lovely move through turn 1, but Andre's not done fighting that one yet with Rolled on the back of him for the Superlap Face team in this race, as they are now sandwiching that of Rolled at the moment. Through the snake they go. They want to get onto the back of Torchio as quick as possible, and the Draco Racing team trying to fight off the Superlap team in this race, and it's so far going well if you're Green, who's now just starting to put a bit of daylight between the Mercedes-Benz behind him. Not far off the back of these three as well is Cadence Presley and the other Golden Falcon of Russell Soto. So Superlap having a great start to this race. A few of their drivers just hovering around that top 10.
Hovering indeed, and let's hope with the next, I would say 50, 45 minutes or so, that they can try and pull themselves a bit more up. There's Soto now alongside, I believe that's Presley, who's trying to hold off on the inside line there with the Ford Mustang, and indeed he does for the big grey, white, and red livery as he continues to push around. Soto from Superlap X stays in 15th. He's doing everything he can, and into the insider he will go. And it looks like he's actually managed to make it stick. What a great dive up on the inside from Soto. And contactless, that of note as well. Great dive from Russell Soto. But one thing we've got to mention is, come on, Virtual Grandstand. We need you guys to lift up a bit. If you were here in the AM, in the AM division, we had such a great conversation and so many comments going in the Virtual Grandstand. We've got to see some more fellowship being shown here to all the drivers, some more support to allow them to continue pushing her on track. Kevin Rolled, 13th position, still also for the Superlap X Days team. His teammates now behind, and they're chasing on the backside of Andre and Green. Let's see what they can do though in the next couple of laps, but still Joff, 1.9 seconds. It is now 2 seconds of a gap actually, and he's just extending. He's doing a great job of keeping that Corvette at bay and just getting prepared for that time when Bella will possibly attack.
Yeah, indeed he is. The gap's over 2 seconds now. Grubowski's going to try and bring the gap down to Ballas Pala, as Peterson as well, and Dragotta just all kind of... Sorry, Peterson, Dragotta's still got Marox on the back of him, but the top four just all kind of sitting in a roughly similar area to each other. But you just feel this is the calm before the storm that may happen after the pit stops. They all may just bunch up a little bit more, especially with traffic. That's one thing we've not mentioned today. We saw it a bit in the AM category, a bit of traffic here and there. at the wrong part of this circuit, traffic can really play its part around this track. It is not the easiest place for a lapped car to let drivers through. So let's see what happens. Marox, though, still attacking the back of Dragotta after his moment at 130R. He's still looking to try and find an overtake somewhere as they come through 200R now. He's just having a look now on the outside line. It'll give him the inside in towards Spoon. And almost in this pro category, you've almost got to try and distract the driver in front by just making it look like you're going to go for a move. As you see there, Dragotta just ran a little deep. You've almost got to try and put the driver off almost. Just, pull out, try and show the nose a little bit as if you're going to go for a dive and see if that can just distract the driver ahead a little bit.
Yeah, that is usually the key in terms of intimidation, and especially in such a high-level race. Any form of attacking stance that you go into from behind is going to lead to the driver up in front, potentially going into a defensive state. And we all know defensive state, especially into chicanes and hairpins, it does ruin the exit speed. So it could be on for Marox. We have seen him try it a little bit there on Dragotta. As we mentioned, he did go wide through Spoon. And so you can see he is chasing closer and closer. That gap is slowly starting to close with the slipstream, but they do have to be cautious. Look behind. It's the two blue demons there of Zurich and Hooverson as they come closer in the Mustang and the Mercedes as they try and pull up closer to the top 5. And not to mention, these two obviously had a great running in Silverstone last week. You can see Hooverson just flashing Zurich. They're trying to get past possibly, but he's got to do it right. There's no back markership over here. This is a pure fight between the Merc and the Mustang, and we'll have to see what is going to be rendered from this fight over here. We can see Hooverson just lighting on those brakes, trying to find a way to ever eventually get the rotation around and get past Zurich. It's going to take him a little bit of time. But for the rest of the grid, though, we've got some pretty good racing going on. Everybody has slightly started to segregate towards the bottom, and the fighting is starting to begin to isolate itself towards the front. But still, great racing action all over the board.
Indeed it is. This is a fight down in the mid-pack, and we drop down to P20 now as Kurashavan trying to fend off that of Holzband here in that super lap phase. Mercedes-Benz once again. There's Souza in that beautiful livery in the background, who is trying to get onto the back of Holzband and Kurashavan here. But what an interesting race at the moment. And this has a very different feel to the amateur racing, where the amateur race was very hectic and very sort of go from the start. This is kind of almost feeling like a bit like an endurance race almost, where it's going to get itself a bit spread out, but we're going to see them bunch back up, I think, after the pit stops, and just different things starting to happen as we see Joe Manzoli trying to fend off King, but also attack the back of Cuthbert, who is the driver that had the spin at the Degner earlier on. And he's missing his front and rear bumper in this race. And Manzoli up the inside a little bit deep, and through goes King as his teammate lets him go, struggling with damage on that car. The problem for Cuthbert is, in this race, if he pits now, it is way too early, and he doesn't want to risk pitting twice.
No, so I think he's just trying to hold it out at this point, and the damage seems to be okay. I don't think he's got any suspension damage from what we can see. It looks like he's able to keep the car tailored out on track. He's just lost all the downforce from the front and back. Thankfully, he's still got the big spoiler to keep himself planted on the floor, but it just means his rotation is slightly slower. And trying to hold it out until that pit stop window is viable. Around the half-an-hour mark is when he will try and pull it in, possibly get the damage repaired. But now it is up to the top, the 4 over here. It is the battle for 5th position. It's Dragotta to Marotz to Zurich to Hooverson. And it is the battle for blue versus white, technically. The 2 white cars up in front versus the 2 blue cars behind. We'll have to see what's it going to be. 3 Mustangs, 1 Mercedes. Who's going to become the overpowered over here? We'll have to see as we wait through the next couple of corners. Dragotta is trying to keep that lead advantage and hope that Zurich will get closer to Marotz to hopefully fight and allow for Dragotta to run away with this race. But Hooverson is also behind him. We've seen what he can do from season 1 and season number 2. And Hooverson trying to make all the strides possible to get himself up towards that top 5 spot.
Yeah, indeed he is. And Hooverson, we know what he is capable of in that Mercedes-Benz. He's shown us last season in the McLaren and this season in the Mercedes how good a driver he is. Marley Joff, 2.2 seconds clear of Pala, who himself is 2.5 seconds clear of Grabowski. The top 3 have checked out in this race. Cars just got past Cadence Presley for 15th and 16th down the order. And there is 2 groups of 4 in this race. You've got the Dragotta, Maroc, Zurich, Hooverson battle, and then you've got the Torcho Green, Andre, sorry, a group of 5, the Torcho Green, Andre, Rolled Soto fight. There they all are. Car's not a million miles away with Presley, Nye, Ahmed in the background as well. So bit of a train forming behind Torcho, and this is what I think we're seeing with Torcho a little bit this season, just lacking that little bit of consistent pace as the races start to develop in this Ford Mustang. I'm going to assume he's not got the full grips of this Mustang yet, because he started off really strong, and it just seems like he's just fading ever so slightly lap by lap.
You know, that's an interesting point to make, because I kind of thought that for the amateur race, because, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys had the thought that the Porsches and mid-engine cars would be dominating that race, right?
Yep.
So my thinking was that because I know that it's a mid-engine car, and I know that you have to, when you're switching drivetrains like that, even if they're both rear-wheel drive, even if the engine placement is different, there's a learning curve to driving that car. There's a learning curve to driving something that's mid-engine as opposed to front-engine. And those that maybe were using those mid-engine cars didn't fully come to grips with them in the AM race.
Yeah,
could possibly be.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. I think that Torcho's just still learning this Ford Mustang, and I agree with what you say there, Shay. And that's why you're in the box with us, to bring us all the insights.
I think the main issue, though, for Torcho is the fact that the learning curve does eventually need to straighten out. But already at round number 4 here, you can't spend the whole season learning a car. And, you know, it's just not going to render the points. If he's struggling in the Mustang, he should have actually just switched back to the McLaren, because from what we saw in season number 1, he really didn't do badly at all in that McLaren. He's just been struggling out here in the big Mustang, and it's the same thing you were speaking about Shay. And obviously, yes, there's a lot more talent this season around about, and we obviously split into 2 grids, which makes it even more intense. But I just feel like in general, Torcho's stride has just been less consistent in the big Mustang compared to the McLaren.
And let's not forget, for our viewers listening and watching at the moment, these are all fixed setups. So all the Mustang drivers running the exact same setup, all the Mercedes drivers exactly the same setup. So the drivers are limited to what they can run. So they are picking the car based off of a default setup or a base setup feel to it. They can't make any adjustments, bar fuel, they can't change a lot. So it is how it feels in that testing before they registered for this championship. Torcho obviously felt like he was enjoying the Mustang enough to select it this season. We hope that, like you say, that curve starts to straighten out and starts to come forward. Kyle Robertson's got past Rosselli for 23rd and 24th. This is the other big group on the circuit. We go back to that one of Russell Soto on the back of one of his fellow Superlap teammates there. Remember, no team games in the no teams championship, should I say, in this championship. Every driver is fighting for themselves, and teammates will fight each other hard in this one. This is down with Singh in 30th place on the back of Murison, who has climbed up to 29th race. Ackles is out of this race now, so we're down to 34 cars on the circuit. Singh's Mustang Jim is saying in the chat that it is good looking. It's another nice one. The liveries this season have been beautiful.
I think the McLaren is beautiful.
Yeah, it's got the same livery as like the Orange F1 team. I'm not gonna lie to you, and that's an OG right there. If you know what the Orange F1 team looks like, it's very similar to what that McLaren looks like. He's flashing the likes of Singh. I don't think he was very impressed with that one. I can't lie to you.
Morrison's missing his bonnet.
Oh, he's missing the whole hood. Yeah,
hood.
He's missing the entire hood of that.
Sorry. Yeah, we're doing an American show. He's missing his hood, not his bonnet. Missing the hood.
His bonnet.
It's gone. It's completely missing. Oh, so that's going to really affect Shay. What's that going to do to the McLaren? That's really going to have some pretty bad aero performance on that car.
That's going to have some pretty bad aero effects on the car. It isn't exactly the hood being that the engine's in the, it's located somewhere else in the car, but it's a big open hole.
Yeah, that just allows air to sit inside of that big open hole, which, as you can see, has got quite a... Okay, thank you, Jim Cunningham. It's we'll try and continue here. Jim is just spewing out random lines of Jan. It's very difficult for his commentators to keep on going. But in any case, we're talking about the massive hole on the front side of the McLaren. And it does indeed just cause an airflow disruption. The air, especially at that speed and compression, is all going to bunch up inside of that front compartment with all the other electronics. And indeed, it's just going to push the car down more. It'll give it maybe a little bit more downforce depending on the pressure direction of the air, but it is just going to evidently slow the car down on the straight. Remember, more downforce means less straight line speed, and obviously vice versa, more straight line speed and less downforce. So You never know. It's not going to play too heavily into how his car feels for Mirazan, but definitely not ideal to break the normal feel of the car.
Didn't lose his bonnet on the Audi, did he? A couple of weeks ago, Tristan. By the way, you guys can't hear Jim, but if you can, you'd be in absolute hysterics tonight. He has been phenomenal in our ear as our producer, who's been bringing you all these fantastic camera angles and replays on this circuit. 3 Superlap cars involved in this 5-way train. Torcho's just started to extend that gap though over green at the moment, and we just kind of sat in Formula One terms, they'd have classed this as a DRS train. We kind of sat in a bit of a train where nobody's really close enough to attack the car ahead at the moment.
No, it's a little bit of a waiting game right now, and obviously there is no actual DRS on these cars, nor is there any form of KERS or battery overdrive system. So the only thing that's getting these cars closer to each other is slipstream and obviously braking and corner exits. That's going to differentiate these drivers. And as you can see, Brown getting a little bit wiggly out on the straight there. That's not Brown, apology. That's Souza up in front. Brown is the driver behind in the blue Mercedes, trying to find his way around. But a bit of a squabble coming out of 130R there for Souza. Let's hope he can keep it consistent in that neon Tron yellow-looking style livery. Again, another good livery out on track as they now head onto the main straight underneath the Suzuka banner and towards that start-finish straight. But for the rest of the drivers, Tyler King seems to have had a bit of an issue. He has a replay from his side. He's in the Mercedes. This looks like into the right-hander towards the hairpin. Oh, I can see the grass. Oh, okay, he broke a little bit on the grass there. Thankfully caught it, but not on the exit. And so possibly just a little bit of debris on that rear right tire. Oh, it's a bit of an odd case to pull it back into the pit lane. I can't lie to you.
Yeah, just a strange spin. This is down with Murison then. This is coming in towards Spoon Corner. And I bet I know what's going to happen here. Rear end's about to take off on the curb. Round she goes. Oh, no. Oh, just an off-track. Oh, there we go. So I was completely wrong. Thanks, Jim.
That's unfortunate. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Incident ahead, guys. Here's the shot. Yeah, no, there's no incident. I just made you look like a fool.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah,
Cheers, Jim.
Not the first time that's happened, but in any case, we continue pushing on. Yes, the Draco Racing team of Andre down in 12th position. He's still trying to hold off strong, going towards 130R now. And it's a bit of a train of Mercedes drivers. Sorry, not Mustang. Apologies. I keep getting confused between the front engine drivers here. The Mustang is leading the pack of Mercedes, as you can see there, of Torcho in 10th position. And it's green to Andre to Roll to Soto. All of them in the big Mustang. Prezi is a little bit further behind in 16th. He's also in a Mustang. And so that's just what it looks like for the time being. Unfortunately, the virtual grandstand has gone a bit quiet. Seems like some people have fallen asleep on the European continent.
It's literally like it's a train pulling all its passenger coaches on the back of it, and all the passenger coaches are the Mercedes-Benz as Presley comes in for a drive-through penalty. And Jim may show us a replay of the off-track that we get where he doesn't make a mistake once again. But yeah, the Mercedes-Benz just... and this is the thing with, and this goes back again to what you said earlier, Tristan. This is all about the slipstream or the driver performance. This is Presley, and I can confirm this is his off track for what he's just got the drive-through penalty for. At the Degners, possibly just going to understeer a little bit wide. Yeah, off the circuit, over the curb, and easily done. Does he do it through Degner 2? No. So picked up the off track through Degner number 1. For that drive-through penalty. Cadence Presley had a good Silverstone, let's not forget, just struggling a little bit here at Suzuka tonight. But going back to what you said earlier, Tristan, it's all about down to the driver's performance in these cars, isn't it? That slipstream will help to an extent, but the drivers have just got to try and brake a little bit later, put the power down a little bit earlier, and just try and find that rhythm and just find that extra inch to get it a little bit closer. This is Elliott Court. Cadence Presley is behind him. Herschel's ahead of him, and then Wett's on the back. So another train of 4 cars here. Except this one is 3 Mustangs and an Aston. No, it's a Mercedes, 2 Mustangs and an Aston Martin. Apologies. This is for 25th, 6th, 7th, and 24th, with Herschel leading that train around at the moment. Marley Joff was 500th slower than Pala. We've had another Otto. This is Anthony Cuff, but no rear bumper, no front bumper. And now the car goes round. Yep, that's not an off-track. That one does go round. Very good slide. That's all down to that bodywork being missing. It's just going to affect the car so much at corners like that.
Yeah, no, definitely it is. And we'll still see the drivers going around. I had something to say, but I've completely forgotten what I was going to say. It's typical. You've got such a great lineup of what to say, and then it dissipates into the wind. But in any case, we'll try and remember it. As you still see Elliot Court from DDK Racing, he's down in 25th position, trying to hold off from a couple of the bigger Mustangs behind. He's got the likes of Herschel up in front, the Mercedes driver from the Golden Falcons of Rosselli just up ahead. So we'll have to see what he can do. Elliot Court has got the pit flasher up on his dashboard. Not too sure. No, that's not him. Sorry, that's the other driver. So that is the 25th of Brown and Presley. This is a pretty cool overlay.
I like
don't think
that
I've
graphic.
seen this one before.
Yeah, that's
I
a
haven't
nice
seen this
graphic.
one before.
Jim's found a new button, I think, there, as a few drivers come into the pit lane. Just a little quiet in this race, Shay. Just very quiet for the pro boys tonight.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is, what we're being told is it shows you out there who are watching in the broadcast, it shows your favourite driver, any driver you're supporting, their pit time. So the number on the left that's not in the brackets is the total pit time for drive in, stop, drive out. The time in the brackets itself, as you can see for Singh there, it says pit. That is for the stationary time in your pit box. Shay?
Yeah. So I'm sorry about that. I was trying to kind of get my thoughts together as Jim was talking. I got caught up with that. But so far, I guess I'm just wondering how this race is going to go for the Golden. What are they? Falcons? Are they pigeons this time?
Pigeons, pelicans, flamingos, falcons, eagles, dodo birds, whatever you want to call them. That's the running joke.
Bird.
I genuinely wonder how this race is going to go for them, because they kind of in some moments in this race I see them do kind of like some of the same team racing, maybe a little less aggressive than maybe Pala and Marutz. But ever since the spins and the incidents that's been going on tonight, it seems like a lot of the regular like team racing teamwork guys are just kind of getting split up, and it's leading to some maybe weird racing in the back.
Yeah, it is indeed, and I get what you're saying. A few of the drivers are getting to the pits. Torchio is into the pit lane, as is a few of the other drivers there. Tyler Carr, AJ Rosselli, Paul Nye, all into the pit lane, and so Torchio pitting could release these four Mercedes now. What lap times have these guys been doing? All pretty similar, within a couple of hundredths of each other out there at the moment, but this allows that of Josh Green to have a bit of a clear track in front of him now, maybe to stretch his legs. Marox and Dragota have pulled clear of Zurich and Hooverson. We've got Souza on the back of Holzband. We've got Court, who's really close. In fact, him and Herschel swapping and exchanging places several times there on the timing tower. Court now gets in front, and this is why, because a bit of side-by-side action through the snake. Beautifully done. Court on the outside, going around the outside of Dunlop at the moment, and gets the move finished. So a lovely bit of side-by-side action there as they come through into the Degners now. And Elliot Court and Herschel putting on a good bit of a overtaking clinical display there.
Yeah, great stuff there from Elliot Court, and he moves up into 19th. One thing we haven't even been looking at, though, is the gap for the lead, and 3.3 seconds now for Joff Tapella. I mean, what a great charge he's been doing up there in the Corvette. He seems to be the only person currently who's getting a little bit of a routing in the virtual grandstand. I see Miles and Kyle also getting a little bit of a routing, but nobody else. So it's a little bit unfortunate to see it's died down a bit, as we see Pala and Grabowski coming into the pit lane. Will Marotz follow his teammate in? Indeed, he does. All of them coming into the pit lane in synchronous. And the only people who stay out is Joff and Peterson. Hooverson also stays out. And so he'll move up into third position effectively for now. But after the pit lane pit stops, he will be changing up. Castro gets a black flag through the pit lane, unfortunately. That's going to be a speeding penalty. And either he's going to serve it now, or it's going to be done towards the end of this as a penalty additionally of a drive-through. So we'll have to see how that works out for him. But Pala Ahmad moves up into sixth position. Pala comes out to the pit lane now from the Sesha Esports team. And looks like Grabowski just a bit further behind. It is going to be Souza and the likes of Halsband who join them alongside on the circuit. Thankfully, they merge quite neatly. And we don't see any cross-contamination there between each other as they continue to go around the track. Though Brown moves up as the rest of the grid also pits. And Grabowski, unfortunately, down to 10th. He loses our 2 positions here after the pit stops.
He does indeed, and you saw Souza get right out of that. He did not want to be involved in hitting a driver coming out the pit lane. Sorcho, who pitted, has come out back ahead of Green and Soto. So a good pit stop for him, but this man, Marley Joff, just extending by an extra lap. We saw the undercut work for Dianarine in the AM category a little earlier on. So can this undercut for Pala just put him a little bit closer? Obviously, Pala's tyres, they do cool slightly as travelling through the pit lane. Obviously, you're travelling at a much slower speed. You stop for 20 or so seconds, and then you just travel for a bit of a slower speed as you exit the pit lane. So For me, Pala might be. The undercut seemed a bit strong in that first race. Will we see that again tonight? He's got past Holzband here, so he's not got a lot of traffic to deal with. Marley Joff is in. Keep your eyes on that Marley Joff pit time in the bottom of your screen there. Already 9 seconds in as exiting Spoon now goes Ballas Pala, and that could be a really useful graphic that Jim has found for the rest of this season, because it will just give us a bit more of an indication, and for you guys at home as well, to just see who is where on what kind of pit stops. Pala's pit stop time in this race a moment ago was, where is he? He's there. Was 20.5 seconds, 20.57 seconds stationary. So you're looking for that time in the pit spot, in the two brackets. 19.4 for Marley Joff. So he was some second quicker. But has Pala been able to find a bit of time on this outlap? Joff is out the pit lane now. We'll await for the timing tower to just catch up with itself as they jostle between each other. It was 3 seconds. I think it was 3.5 seconds, I think, before the pit stop. It is now 5.5. Marley Joff is on another level tonight.
Yeah, he's flying around the circuit, and absolutely nothing can stop that charge. And, I mean, just getting that even better pit stop rotation, 2 seconds additional to that overall gap. Grabowski will now be on the backside of Pala. Peterson about 2 seconds as well. Uverson is on the backside of Dragotta, who's moved down quite aggressively, unfortunately. I wonder what happened to Dragotta, as we don't see he's lost out to Maroc, so probably a bit of a pit stop issue, or slightly longer in the pit stop, because Maroc is back up ahead, and Dragotta will now feel the pressure from the Dory Esports driver of Gregory Hooverson, and we know what he can do. We've said it multiple times in that Mercedes. He can be quite violent from the rear side.
Bit of a slower pit stop, 1.5 seconds he lost in the pits. Hello, look at these four having a bit of a battle coming through the snake then. Lenaway, Green, Soto, Andre, all fighting it out and duking it for that 12th place position, coming through the the snake there in towards the Degners. This is now where I think the race is going to take a different turn, because the moment we start to get closer to that 1 hour time limit, which is in 23 minutes times, these drivers are just going to possibly look to make a couple of moves here or there if they're close enough. As you see there, Soto having a little sniff on Corbin Lenaway, but couldn't find that gap on the inside, as Lenaway himself is on the back of Green. In towards 200R they come then for the 19th time of asking, and a great race here at Suzuka. A calm pro race. Lenaway sticks the nose out, has a look, doesn't do anything silly there by sending one from a bit too far back. Looks to get the run on the exit of Spoon Curve. And it's interesting to see the different lines through Spoon tonight. We've been on board with several drivers now in both AM and the pro category. Some drivers like to just clip the curb coming through the exit of Spoon. Some drivers kind of stay a little bit away from it, just because it's so important to get that run down towards the Casio triangle.
Yeah, the most important part is the obviously the exit coming out of 130 on. So obviously people choosing, and that is Presley on the inside of one of the Mercedes drivers and just shunting him off of the Degner there. And he loses it himself as well, unfortunately, on Degner too. Don't know if that was a little bit of karma maybe from that inside tap, but very unfortunate there for Presley. But yeah, absolutely, like we were mentioning, which I've completely forgotten now. This is what tiredness does to you at 4 in the morning. I'm slowly starting to forget things as we scale into this race. But yeah, that was Robertson, it seems like, in that Mercedes that Presley just unfortunately tapping the side of as they continue to now push around. And you can see it is indeed Kyle Robertson, and he was able to catch it quite well. I can't lie to you, in that sand it does get quite uncontrollable, and he actually does make that position back up after Calvin Presley loses the car, and into the wall he goes. And there goes Kyle Robertson. He does get the tap, but he actually gets the advantage of free position and no longer have feeling the pressure from behind. So the rest of the drivers will still try and lean their way out. 20 minutes left of racing, and this is where it starts to get a little bit hectic. The drivers have completed that pit stop strategy, and it all comes down now to how they manage. There's debris all over Degner that they've got to watch out for. That'll reduce grip slightly. And so you do not want to take that outside line coming out of Degner number 2. You want to stay on that inside line. Otherwise, you're going to cover yourself in sand as if it's a beach. But we'll have to see. There we see another driver, 31st, comes into the pit lane. And Russell Soto still 13th position, chasing on the backside of Lenaway and the drivers up in front. Hooverson, 3/10 now from Dragotta. We could potentially see an overtake coming in the next couple of laps. That gap is reducing drastically. Corbin Lenaway also on the backside of Green. This could be something soon. There it is. Corbin Lenaway moves up onto the inside of Green as we just switch off of that, unfortunately. So Corbin Lenaway, great jump up ahead of the Golden Pigeon and moves up into 11th position now as he chases in that big blue Mercedes. But that's the same for Dragotta and Hooverson a little bit further up in front. We've got to watch out for them because that could also possibly scale in the next coming laps.
Indeed, it could. A great little move there from Lenaway. He saw the gap, went for the gap, and made sure he made it stick through the spoon exit. Now then, Green coming under pressure from his super lap teammate of Soto. But here goes Hooverson up the inside. Lenaway's back into the pit lane, so I'm not sure why Lenaway's in the pit. So is Manzoli. But Hooverson looking round the outside on the inside line of Dragotta. Was there a little bit of contact between the two there? Dragotta just had a wiggle coming out the exit of the snake. The mid part of the snake. Through the final part of the snake they go now. In towards Dunlop. Hooverson will still be on the outside line. If he can keep it on that outside line, he will have the inside for the two Degners. And Gregory Hooverson, we know he can overtake. He's a cracking driver. Through he goes. And for the Door Esports team, Hooverson makes another position. He can now head after Marox in this race. And Dragotta's race just after the pit stops, losing out on another position in this one. I think this could be, unless Hooverson can get on the back of Marox, this could be a cracking scrap to the end for P6.
Yeah, absolutely so. We'll have to watch out for them, though, because Dragotta, like we've seen, he was able to push on the backside of Marox, and he didn't make it an easy fight whatsoever, so hopefully he can keep onto the backside of Hooverson now that he is up into 6th position, and we'll have a continuous fight going. Andre's also on the backside of Green now. That's 12th, 13th, and 14th position, as they are getting quite close to each other, and for the rest of the drivers, we did obviously Corbin Lenaway. He's, where is Corbin Lenaway's name? He's pitted. I forgot. Yes, he came in. He came in, so that's completely changed the standing there for 11th, 12th, and 13th position. Russell Soto is unfortunately 4.5 seconds away from Torchio, who seems in a bit of no man's land there for 10th position, chasing onto the backside of Rolled in 9th, but he's only got 20 minutes left to play with here. Zurich also in 8th position, and Koroshavin down 15th. And unfortunately for the two Sesha Esports drivers, they haven't been able to reunite here in this race. It just seems like Pala has had the better overall speed over Marat, down in 5th position. Yaz Ahmad for the Superlap X-Stays team in 16th. He's in the backside of Koroshavin, as we already mentioned. And coming through that Casio triangle, you can see he's slightly different on the brakes. And on the exit, he's actually gotten a much better run. Where is it going to be for him? Looking all over the left and right-hand side of the number 30, Aston Martin. Is it going to be a dive up onto the inside line? Going into turn number 1. He can see it. He's trying to vision it, but will he make the dive? No, he doesn't. He pulls back onto the backside of this Aston Martin. Decides it's not going to be the smartest decision to try and perform that dive on the inside, especially into turn number 1, and tucks back behind Koroshavin. Possibly can make a position overtake in the next couple of corners if he's patient.
Indeed he can. Shay, the racing today has been phenomenal. Suzuka has put on an absolutely beautiful display of racing in both the Pro and the Am category. Thoughts on, though, Barcelona going into next week?
Barcelona. Very, very technical track. If Suzuka is supposed to be technical, Barcelona is one of those tracks that if you ask any sim racer, have they played there, they'll always tell you they've had a pretty rough time. It's one of my favorite. It's also one of my favorite tracks. I've played that in MotoGP. I've played that in, just whatever sims you name it. I've played it there. It's going to ask a lot of drivers, and I think that it's going to make for some great racing.
I find Barcelona quite a well-rounded circuit. There's a bit of everything at Barcelona. It's quite a well-rounded track, so we could see different cars, a bit like Spa in a way, where we had different cars be better at different parts of the track. I'm looking forward to see what we can do at Barcelona, but it's all about 2 weeks' time at Donington Park, where I will be over the moon.
In your element.
Yeah, absolutely. Damn right. I'll be at the campsite right next to the main entrance. I'll be doing the track map for that one. Don't you worry, Jim. I'll do that one. Hooverson here hasn't pulled away from Dragotta in this race. It's been very tame tonight, Tristan, hasn't it? We've seen a lot of elbows out in the first 3 weeks. We've had 4 races in them 3 weeks, obviously with Format B at Silverstone, where it's been a lot of elbows out, a lot of aggressive driving from everybody. And tonight they've all been well behaved, well, just nice and tame. We've just seen, just some good GT3 driving.
Yeah, good GT3 driving indeed. And sometimes it is okay to just be relaxed. Relax can be good. And it's what we've seen over tonight's grid. Unfortunately for the virtual grandstand, but they don't see action. It slowly starts to dissipate. We were averaging around about 94 concurrent viewers or so in that AMP category. We're unfortunately down to about 54 concurrent viewers, which is still great across the pro division, but it is just due to the tame grid. Everybody is pacing themselves, just trying to make it towards the end of this race. Now, there's no point in pushing on and trying to, potentially cause an incident or an off track. As we've seen, those off tracks are quite violent, but we could see something coming towards the end. Remember, it did start to get tame in the middle pack there of that AMP class, and towards the end, we just started seeing the penalties fly, and the late dive bombs of those positions also start to happen. And for these big packs, like we see over here, Guillaume Andre, Green, and Carr, and Soto, this pack over here will definitely be wanting to, possibly change things up as it comes to those final couple of minutes. As it becomes tame during the mid pack of this race, during the 40 to 30 minute mark, everybody still says, all right, cool, I've got lots of time to work with. But when it gets to that 10-minute mark left, you don't really have much time to work with. And if you want to make that dive bomb, well, now is the time to do it. So keep your eyes peeled. 5 minutes left until the final 10 minutes around Suzuka for round number 4.
I don't think the top 4 drivers in this race at the moment have had an easier race than this, to be fair, because they've just been so spaced out. And Marley Joff has just been on another level. 6.5 seconds clear. When was the last time we saw somebody 6.5 seconds clear of Ballas Pala? Because I don't think we ever have. That's incredible from Joff today. He's been on another level at the moment. Here is Morrison. He's got his hood back on his car. So nice to see. As we've got, he's had an accident or an off track there. Jim's words, not mine. So let's see what happens. That is the Mercedes-Benz behind him. Oh, he's going to tap him. He's going to tap him. Yeah. Helped around there was Morrison, who's he's up 8 places, and that was Manzoli who had who taps Morrison around there. Morrison's up 8 places, but let's not forget, Morrison's been used to driving that Audi. He's changed to the McLaren for this week, so he's really got to learn a new car midway through the season. What I like about this change is he clearly feels, look, the Audi's not competitive. I'm not going to be able to be as competitive in this pro field with that Audi. Let me learn. Let's learn the McLaren. Let's look to season 3 and see what we can do going into that. I kind of like that change for him.
Yeah, especially because he's not in that direct position of fighting for a championship of sorts. He's got that freedom to obviously test the waters, and obviously, we might be able to see a different Murazin coming to season number 3. This could be a bit of a testing ground for him. If we do see him next week in a completely different car, well, we know he's definitely trying to test the elements of all the GT3s out there, as he's been rocking with that Audi for some time being. I can't remember if Murazin was in season number 1, but if he was, he would obviously be in the McLaren, and he's in the McLaren yet again here. So maybe it's just a little bit of a better feeling car. He definitely likes the mid-engine cars, as he's gone from Audi to McLaren. I'm not too sure if he's going to test the waters of those front engines. We might see him testing a Lamborghini of sorts, or one of the other mid-engines, possibly not a V10, unfortunately, which is, love the Screamers, but doesn't seem like they're too competitive, especially at the likes of Suzuka, as we see most of those front-engine cars wrapping around in the big V8 mid-engines of the McLaren being quite dominant. But we are 2 minutes away from that 10-minute mark left. We do see Zohair Akhma down in 16th position. He's chasing on the backside of Koroshavin now, and he is getting ever so close to the battle behind, as well as scaling that, I believe, is Halsband, Paul Nye, and the likes of Souza and Brown a little bit further behind. And this three-way battle, it's the 2 yellow Mercedes and one of the gold Mercedes of the Golden Shoe Bills as they continue to go around. We'll have to see what is going to come from this three-way Mercedes battle. It is currently Nye who leads it in 17th position, and Halsband is looking everywhere behind him from the Superlap X-Days team, with the likes of Souza just a bit further behind. The three-way battle for Mercedes. Who's it going to be? Is it Dadman Paul Nye, or is it going to be the likes of Souza down in 19th?
I tell you what, this race is telling us, I think, this evening, is that these drivers are so evenly matched in terms of pace. All right, Joff, this tonight in this pro category has clearly been, Joff has been the fastest by far. He was quickest in practice, quickest in qualifying. But everybody else who's having a fight that can't get close enough to make an overtake are just that similar in pace this evening that they've not got an overall advantage to make the overtake. And this is brilliant to watch, because this is the different side of racing that people don't always see. People want to see that action, the drama, the overtakes, the collisions of such, with drivers pushing the limits. This is the other side of racing. This is the take your time. We're matched on pace in these trains. There's nothing I can do extra in this car to just find a couple more tenths to get ahead. As we're seeing here with Green, Andre and Carr, been together in this train for so long. Dragotta's been sat on the back of Hooverson since Hooverson's got back. They're just matching each other lap after lap, and you have to commend their consistency tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely so. And one thing to mention as well is the pro drivers might be slightly more lined in with endurance racing. It is something that takes a little bit more out of a person and requires a completely different mindset compared to a sprint race. And I feel like that's kind of the mindset the drivers have shifted into here, is almost into that endurance racing aspect of, what is the point of continuously trying to push and getting closer to that edge of risk? Where, if you lose the car, especially in a sprint race like this, obviously in endurance, you've got loads of time to make up. But in a sprint race like this, if you do lose that car, well, there's only about 9 minutes or so left of racing. There's not much you can do to recover from an incident like that. So all the drivers playing the safe game, no need to dive if there's no opportunity that presents itself. If a driver ahead makes the mistake, great, make the lunge and make it happen. But if there's no opportunity that's presenting itself, well, there's no point in risking it and possibly having a little bit of door-to-door contact, or even worse, an off-track, or even going off of the track due to an incident. And so we've been fortunate enough not to see that yet tonight. Yeah,
completely agree. It's been a different side of racing, and we get to see that other insight into it. Shay, it's been a fantastic night, hasn't it? You have to say, though, Marley Joff has been at the best of these pro drivers tonight. He has just been untouchable. Before you answer that question, Carr and Andre go side by side just behind this of Green at the moment, and it looks like Carr has got ahead of Andre, so the blue and black Ford Mustang gets ahead of the red Mercedes-Benz. So a good move there for Carr, moves up to 13th. But Shay, Joff, just on another level tonight.
Joff is on an absolute tear tonight. I know I mentioned the mastery of the drivetrain earlier, and I think he puts on a really, really good example of exactly that mastery of the mid-engine drivetrain, especially on this track with so many curves and where this kind of drivetrain should be benefiting.
Yeah, absolutely so. And he really has been shining out there tonight. And obviously we saw the two Corvettes in the Pro Am category, but he's been really outdoing himself here in the Am category. And it's unfortunate for what we saw in Silverstone last week. He didn't have that advantage, and he really did struggle down in the mid-pack in that Corvette. But it seems like his luck is turning here, because, 8 seconds up with 8 minutes left to go of racing. This is looking really good for Joff, and, it's a great gap to have as well.
And it's such an insane gap, given that you have all these fast guys here in these in the pro division. And usually we're seeing maybe 2-3 seconds off. That's maybe the average gap between drivers, but this is so far. He's running his own race.
And again, this is testament to the track selection for the calendar this year. It's been absolutely fantastic in the sense of Joff has struggled for 2 weeks at Silverstone at Daytona, where it's a bit more of a powerful circuit for the front engine cars to do well. All right, the rain could have helped him last week. It wasn't to be. But when we've gone to tracks of Spa, which is a pretty well-balanced circuit for all the cars, we've come here, which will really help his Corvette. He's shone. He's shone both times, and he's proven why the Corvette and him are a good partnership.
And we'll have to see if it's going to continue going into Barcelona. We did mention Barcelona is a bit more of a evened out circuit. It's pretty similar to Suzuka in terms of what the cars are going to offer between each other. So let's hope that Joff can continue that stride, because he is an absolutely incredible driver. And we've seen him racing door to door as well, and he's been consistent. There hasn't been much action in terms of contact between Joff, and that is definitely saying something for the British drivers. So let's just hope that this tail lead that he's building here in Suzuka can continue to Barcelona. And like we mentioned, we've got a couple more rounds after that as well. Barcelona heads to Donington, which again, very narrow style racetrack. Hopefully the Corvette will also be strong there. Imola and Laguna Seca after Donington. Matthew can give you some insight as to what car is going to be possibly the best there. He's been there in real life. He's seen what the track is like and what it does. And obviously Imola again pretty balanced in Laguna. Not too sure. I haven't seen too much racing action in Laguna, but only time's going to tell to see what Joff can do in that Corvette.
I mean, maybe Shea can give us a bit more of an insight into Laguna. I've got a feeling Laguna's going to suit the powerful cars a bit more. Good straights in between the corners, big long start straight out of the final corner down towards Andretti turn 1. Donington Park, again, pretty balanced. The straights aren't overly too long. The corners, until in that first and middle sector, are pretty mid-speed corners. So, yeah, but like you just said, Tristan, it's a narrow circuit. So it could favour the front-engine cars, but also, you know, you're going to have to look at that Corvette. Could be very nimble through these corners and could glide through a couple of the turns through Donington Park. I think Imola could be an interesting one as well. You've got similar sort of flowy kind of mid-speed corners, bore the hairpin of Tozer and the chicane up the hill, as we see there Cameron Brown and Kyle Robertson getting a little close through the snake. But you've got that long start straight out of Ravazza down towards Tamburello, bit like Laguna Seca, a long section of the circuit where you're flat out as Robertson's tucked underneath Cameron Brown, through that of the Dunlop left-hander, and Robertson just outbreaks himself a little bit. I think we've got a great mix coming up, but I think what we've got left kind of is going to suit the Corvette more than it will the front engines.
I can't speak for Laguna Seca. I find that Laguna Seca is a track that kind of plays with the driver's mind. There's a lot of braking markers and things, but there are also corners where you can misjudge by maybe a gear or just braking a little bit too late. And then, of course, there's the corkscrew, which it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this, the corkscrew is always going to be a little bit scary to take.
Yeah, definitely so. And I mean, the corkscrew is also blind, like we've spoken about. And obviously, there's also that left-hander on Laguna that heads towards corkscrew on that back straight where I don't know if you've seen it, but a GT3 can take flight on that curb if you don't take it correctly.
The one where you come uphill.
Exactly, yeah. So the one where you just flick left, you've got to keep all that speed and obviously avoid all the sand on the right-hand side because that also slows you down. It's similar to that curbing we've seen at Daytona where the entire front end of a Mercedes can become a Boeing an Airbus A320. So we'll have to see if that happens at Laguna, but that's at the end of the season.
There's also the long sweeper after the corkscrew that is also really, really easy to misjudge.
Yeah, indeed. And the thing I love about that left-hander before the corkscrew is just that little sausage curb, just on the inside after the curb. And that's where the drivers, if they just get a little too greedy, turn in a little too early, you can hit that and off you go, like you say, onto the gravel outside, on the outside line. And that really hurts your run up to the corkscrew. Dragotta's dropped off the back of Hooverson, and we've now got Zurich on the back of him. Hooverson's on the back of Marox, to be fair, at the end of this race, and this is a three-way fight between Carr, Andre and Green that has been going on for ages, it feels like, at the moment. And here is Zurich and Dragotta with a little bit of traffic that they've put a lap on in the background then. So a few of them timing towers just turning orange as this race comes into its final 2 laps of it. We'll get one more after this. So we'll see what will happen in the very end of this race. And Gregory Hooverson all over the back of Marox, and in towards turn 1 he goes, just going to wait. The door opens up, he slides up the inside, does Gregory Hooverson. Can't quite get the move done, but he's got the nose on the outside line. We saw him do this with Dragotta, has to get out of it. And we know Hooverson knows how to race against the Sachet Motorsport, the Sachet Esport team, sorry. He did it plenty of times last season, and he's going battle once more with that Sachet team. But this time, it's not Pala, it is Marox. And he just looked like he tried to do what he did to Dragotta a few laps earlier. But Marox was wise to that one and keeps Hooverson at bay. Zurich in the background on the back of Dragotta now as well. So them two having a little scrap with 1.5 laps to go.
1.5 laps to go indeed. We do see where Joff is. He's currently coming out of Spoon Curve. And about 1.5 minutes left to go. There definitely will be another lap after this one. As we mentioned, 1.5 laps to go. AJ Rosselli a little bit further down, 21st position in that big blue Mustang. He's chasing on the backside of Brown up ahead, and Chris Wett's just a little bit further behind in his Aston Martin. So we'll have to see how this plays out for all the drivers. But I totally agree with you there. I mean, Marox just completely boxing Hooverson away and not letting him do that dominatory inside dive on turn number 1, which Hooverson did on Dragotta. But here comes Joff. This is still 1 minute on the clock, and this is officially your final lap. The white flag will be waved now for the rest of the drivers as Joff comes across for FX Simulations. Teammate to Cameron Brown, to Brown down in 20th. Apologies, not Cameron Brown. It is actually Cameron Brown. There's two Browns, and I'm not too sure if they're both a part of the same team, but I do know Cameron Brown is a part of the FX Simulations down in 25th. Yeah, as Aaron Zurich, team checkmate Simland down in 8th position. He's chasing on the backside of Dragotta, and this could be a change of position in those coming 30 seconds. As we head for the final lap, you can see Dragotta taking the inside line, trying to break all forms of slipstream here, so that Zurich has got the worst possible chance to make that dive up on the inside and take that position by storm. And Dragotta, one lap left of defending. Can he do it to keep himself up in 7th?
It's going to be interesting to see what will happen here. This is also the fight down for 11th, 12th and 13th place between Green, Andre and Kor. Soto and Torchio are getting interesting just a little further forward. Korishavin and Ahmed for 15th and 16th place. Battle starting to develop on this final lap of the race here at the Suzuka International Circuit in Japan. And what a day it has been in the land of the rising sun for the AMs and the pros. It's been some fantastic racing here at the league by Foxxtecca. And we are back next week for Barcelona for even more drama. This is it on the back of Dragotta once again. He's as close as he's been for the last couple of laps now. Hooverson just looks like he's lost too much time over that of Marox in this race. He's going to need a bit of a mistake from Marox if he's going to get close enough to make a move. He's only really got Spoon and the Casio chicane to try and get that move done. But Marley Joff is absolutely outstanding performance. He rounds 130R. This man has put on an absolute masterclass here at Suzuka today. Rounds the final corner. Marley Joff is going to win the 4th round of the season. He wins at Suzuka in dominant style. The Corvette back on top once again for the first time since Spa. Ballas Pala will come home for 2nd place. Gabrovski and Pedersen, who we've not even seen a lot of in this race, are going to come home for 3rd and 4th. And this is Zurich attacking Dragotta, looking to get that better run out of the Casio Triangle chicane. Can't do so, and that will be that, because there's no chance. The line comes up pretty quickly. Marox from Hooverson, from Dragotta, from Zurich, Rold and Torchio. This three-way fight, anything could happen here. Green, Andre, Kor, in that order. Through 130R they go. What is going to happen at the Casio Triangle? Anybody late on the brakes to fancy a little move? Kor fancies one on the back of Andre, and that's going to allow... that's Andre on the back of Green, and that allows Kor to swoop around the outside of Andre to get up into P13 and to gain a place at the very end.
Yeah, what a great last-minute dive there from Tyler Carr. 13th position, strong there for Race 4G Esports. A little bit further behind her, Lucas Souza struggling on the exit there. He just lost the rear slightly and didn't affect him too much, thankfully. A little bit further behind, Chris Wetz versus the likes of Brown and Rosselli, as Rosselli will lead that 20th battle fight coming across the line. Lenaway down in 23rd position after that second pit stop for some reason. Not too sure what happened to him. And then obviously Cameron Brown done 25th, Manzoli 26th as well. But what a great amount of racing we've just had today. Miles Brown, 21st position, will finish it off. There's Murazan, the ex-Audi driver, will finish 28th position. Unfortunately, the last driver to come across the checkered flag, as Cuthbert came across a couple laps before, and the rest not finishing the race on the same lap that the race leader finished on. So Murazan comes across the line to finish the race, and it's great to finish the race strong, even if it hasn't been the greatest of positions. You still finish off the race, which is a definite prop to him. But that is officially the racing for today done. And I've got to say, what a great race we got to saw there for the Pro Division.
Yep, absolutely fantastic from the Pro Division in your Pro Race results. Marley Joff, dominant fashion win for him. I've not seen anybody be that far ahead of Ballas Pala in the 1.5 seasons commentating the league by Foxxtecca. Pala 2nd from Grabowski. Peterson was P4 from Marox, Hooverson, Dragotta, Zurich, Kevin Rold and Alessandro Torchio rounds out your top 10. Russell Soto from Josh Green, Tyler Carr got ahead of Guillaume Andre at the very end. Dominic Korishavin from Zohair Ahmed, Paul Nye, Eric Holzband, Lucas Souza. AJ Rosselli was P20. From Miles Brown, Chris Wetz, Corbin Lenaway, Elliot Court, Cameron Brown, Joe Manzoli, Andrew Herschel, Murrison, and then we had Cuthbert a lap down, Robertson 2 laps down from Presley, Singh, Castro, King, Ackles, Conwright, and we didn't get to Zane Khan out there tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately, we did not. Apologies. I'm just quickly renaming someone in our Discord who's come in for interviews. There we go. But I mean, Shay, any words from your side before we head into some interviews about today's racing?
It's just been some great racing today from both pro and M divisions. Everyone seemed to have learned a lot of lessons as we go on through these rounds, and it's showing. Everyone's using their aggression where it needs to be and pulling back where they feel like they don't need to risk as much, and I love to see it.
Yeah, it's been an absolutely incredible one. But we do have our first driver ready for interviews. It is indeed the man, the myth, the legend up in P number 1, Marley Joff. You're in the commentary box here live at Apex Racing TV. Congratulations on that race win here at Suzuka. I mean, talk us through it.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a pretty boring race, to be fair. Like, as long as it was all about surviving the first few laps. The Corvette was very, very twitchy on the first 2 laps. The rear was just all over the place. Like, through the S's lap 1, I was sliding all over the place. So I was thinking, oh God, what's this going to be like? But it went really, really well. And I seem to have sort of a 10th or 2 pace gap to Pala behind, which surprised me, to be fair. I think the Mustang is really, really strong around here. So to have that sort of pace to it was just, I'm baffled. Honestly, I'm baffled.
Yeah, and I mean, you obviously gained an extra 2 seconds ahead of Pala in that pit stop. I mean, what do you think you did slightly differently in the pit stop? Did you fuel slightly differently?
The Corvette just has a fuel advantage over the Mustang. The Mustang seems to be one of the worst on fuel, and the Corvette seems to be one of the best. So, combine the two, and you saw that in Spa as well. I wasn't fuel saving that much, but I was still able to gap him in the pit stop, even though he was in the slipstream in Spa as well. So, for these longer races, the Corvette seems to be really strong in that regard. It's all about managing the fronts. The fronts were really dead at the end of that race. But yeah, I look forward to the next longer race. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I mean, next race, you obviously head to Barcelona. And let me quickly have a look. I believe we are back
Format
to
B.
that B format. How are you feeling for that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I know the Mustang is incredible around there in the way that it can take the curbs. The Mustang absolutely munches the curbs, and it's kind of important with a few of the corners around there. So, but we'll see. I didn't think I would. I think it would be. I thought it was going to be pretty close with Pala this round. So, who knows?
And Matthew, any questions from your side for Molly?
Yeah, just for the viewers at home, Marley, obviously, from the United Kingdom, what does it take for you at this time of night? Obviously, it's 10 to 3 in the morning for us here in the UK. What kind of concentration levels have to go into this at this kind of time at night to put on such a good performance?
A lot. And a little bit of distraction at the same time. Having someone in your ear just keeping you in the zone. I had a spotter with me, and I also had my teammate, Cameron Brown, with me in the voice chat, and we were just sort of chatting to each other through the race. It really, really helps just sort of keep you in the zone, because you can concentrate too much on these things and wear yourself out in the sort of first half of the race. So if you just keep it in that Zen mode, you can power through the race. And especially if you're used to the 24-hour formats that I've been doing recently, you get used to the night stints.
Yeah, exactly. And just lastly from me as well, obviously you say that the Corvette's better on that fuel. Looking at the next hour-long race format A, that's at the UK circuit of Donington Park. Corvette should be pretty decent around Donington Park. It's kind of a balanced circuit for a lot of the cars, but I feel like the Corvette could do pretty well there.
I think so too. I'm not sure because I've never driven it, but we'll learn it. I know, absolutely unforgivable, but hopefully we'll go round right there. As you said, it's a balanced circuit. I'm thinking about a few of the corners, and the Corvette should be really strong, especially during the second half of the circuit, I think. So hopefully we'll go well there.
Indeed. Shay?
For me, well, first of all, that was an amazing run tonight. You had a wonderful race.
Thank you.
Second, what goes through your mind within that first lap? I know everyone's usually like running on these warming up tires, maybe still cold, and it's usually really hectic as everyone packs into the first corners. What goes through your head in that first lap?
Survival. Survival, literally. Like the tires are still warming up, and they can be really, really difficult, especially if you get them in the wrong window. I think I was slightly in the wrong window, which was I was sliding so much through the first sector. And then it's easier being P1 because you can control the start and you haven't got people surrounding you. Usually you can give yourself sort of a 5/6 buffer going into turn 1. If you're in the middle of the pack, it could be really tricky. It could be really, really tricky. But, these are long races. Even in the short format, it's still a 25, 30-minute race. So just keep yourself in the game and see what happens after that.
Fair enough. And then there was also a point today, you put on nearly, 8, almost 9 seconds of lead on the rest of the race. Was there a point where you just knew this and you maybe just felt relaxed in your mind to just get through the rest of it? Or were you just kind of on point, just you had to be super focused the entire time?
I knew by sort of 10, 50 minutes in that I had the pace. The thing is, around Suzuka, you really need to be on it the whole time. I don't know what it was like for the other cars through Dakins 1 and 2, but the car felt really uncomfortable going through that. It did not go running out on the outside curb. So I knew that if I didn't nail it going into there each time, there could be lots of issues. I've experienced it in practice, spinning off many times. So
yeah,
I mean, this circuit in particular required a lot of concentration, and I haven't watched the race, but I imagine lots of people got caught out. I know lots of people got caught out in quali. I had someone spin in front of me on my fastest lap going through Degna 2.
Whoa.
So like that was really scary. And the fact that I think I lost like a tenth and a half, 2 tenths going through there as well. The fact that I got pole still was just unbelievable. I felt super lucky for that.
Yeah, incredible stuff from your side, man.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for joining us in the commentary box, and we'll see you next week at Barcelona.
Thank you. If you don't mind, just quick shout out to Effect. Love all you boys. Shout out also to Sim Coach. I'm a coach on there, so if you want a few tips, you can get it from me. You can get it from all the other coaches on there. Really, really nice community over there. So come and check us out.
Incredible stuff. We'll have a great night further, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much. Take care, guys.
Thank you,
All
man.
right, and that was Marley Joff, our winner of the first round. The winner of round 4 Suzuka. We do have one more in the interview box, but I'm gonna let our lead Matthew decide if we've got time for him or not. I believe it is Evan Davis.
Yeah, I think we've got time for 1 or 2 questions.
All right, we'll bring Mr. Evan Davis up for you then. Evan, you are live on the commentary box. You are live in the commentary box here at Apex Racing TV. Welcome in.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. First of all, congratulations on the P2 in that Prime race. We're going to try and keep it short because we're running out of time. How was that for you?
Oh, it was great. Super tough track. Suzuka, very technical. You got to stay on the racing line for the whole lap. So I had a rough quali, but just consistency ended up being good for me today.
And that seemed to be the main thing, wasn't it? The leaders, the front four, was fighting between themselves, getting penalties in the pit lane and for off tracks. They seemed to pick up the penalties. You just seemed to do your job and get that second place.
Yeah, I had 9 incidence points at the end, and I couldn't remember if 10 was the penalty or 20. So I was stressing pretty hard not to get another one.
And just finally, quick thought on Barcelona next week.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I think it should be P4 in the standings after this one, so I'm ready to go for the gold.
Brilliant. Apologies for keeping it so short, but we are running out of time, Evan. So congratulations on the P2 today, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, and I really appreciate what you guys do. You guys are great commentators, so thanks.
Thank you very much. Some say we should be on the Formula One, Tristan. I do believe, but there we go. Yeah, that was me who typed that, by the way.
A little bit of inside job there, I noticed.
Yeah, got to be done at times. That was me. Finally, here at Suzuka, we're going to round up. Thank you to Shay for joining us once again. Shay, looking forward to next week already?
Always a pleasure with you guys, and I am always looking forward to our next race.
Indeed. Tristan, Barcelona next week. What will await us as we go back to Format B?
Yeah, cannot wait for Format B, especially on Barcelona. Super balanced circuit. And with all the different cars on grid, I think we're going to have quite a good show.
Indeed, we are. We head to the Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona next time out as we head into the final half of the season. Donington Park, then Imola, and then Laguna Seca to round up our second season here at the league by Foxxtecca. I've been Matthew Duffin, joined in the box by Tristan Herbst and Shay once again. Jim Cunningham, our local comedian, has been been the producer to bring you all the replays, camera angles, and all the drama from tonight's action. And once again, thank you to all the drivers and viewers who have been tuning in our virtual grandstand and taking part in today's events. We will see you, though, next time for Catalunya. Goodbye.